And good morning, everyone. Now it's my show. We did a couple of hours for John Caldera. Now it's turned over to 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. It is the show now. Phone number is 303-696-1971. The weather, 78 for a high, and that's on a Saturday. Got a shot at rain, much the same tomorrow. Back to work Monday, 84 degrees. Coming up on Sunday, September the 28th, for the 12th time, the MC1 Honor Run goes. I have so much respect for this man. He is now the head of the foundation. Mark Miller is president of the foundation of the MC1, but he is perhaps the best he can't even say non-professional, because he's a professional motorcycle rider, and he can ride his can off. He's also really an important and a tough cop, and I'm so proud to say for 12 years we've been close friends. Hey, Mark, good morning, and I know you have a busy morning, and thank you for coming back up on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Good morning. Happy to be on.
You too. Now, if it's fair to ask you, I understand that you were called to Evergreen. Are you allowed to make any comments about that?
Well, sure. I can tell you that I did respond up there on Wednesday, and but I came from the flat, so by the time I got there, really I just got involved with the traffic control point for the rest of that day.
What? I mean, you've been, how many years have you been on the job?
Well, 39 total in law enforcement, and then I've been on the motor unit for 22 years now.
We're doing an open lines question on what's wrong. What are we watching, and what have we got going on in this country? I realize that you're a deputy, but you've had to see this thing slip away. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I can tell you that, since I started my career in law enforcement, I have seen a big change and a big shift from how things used to be, and the level of respect that law enforcement received out on the street is changed immensely. It's also changed a lot of how we do business on a day-to-day basis, too.
Well, that was that whole sadness in Jefferson County. Here we go again. And, of course, Columbine is in Jefferson County. And so let's talk about coming up on the MC1 on September 28th. Mark, if you would.
Absolutely, yep. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to be out at Columbine High School. We're going to open up with our very important ceremony that we do every annual run. But people can get involved. They can go online. They can register. They can donate, or they can show up on Sunday the 28th at the Columbine High School for our 12th annual MC1 Honor Run.
And this starts, of course, 12 years ago when somebody that we both knew and respected, Dave Baldwin, was killed on the highway and on the job, and he was a motor officer, and his call sign was MC Motorcycle 1. And so the honor run began. And these are first responders. Talk about a couple of the guys that you've helped, Mark, if you would, please.
Okay. Well, 3 years ago, we helped Wheat Ridge officer Alan Fisher. Many of you guys will recognize that name. He was stabbed in the line of duty 11 times in the face. That was 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we helped Sergeant Justin Dodge with the Denver Police Department after he lost his leg in the line of duty. And then last year, we helped Ryan Applegate, a firefighter that was hit on duty by a DUI driver on I-76. So we always find a need, someone to help, and we're really proud to say that after 12 years of doing this, we've given away over $500,000 to 69 different first responders throughout Colorado.
It's an amazing event, you guys, if you're a motorcyclist, and if not, where it ends, there's always a party. Where's it going to end this year, boss?
We're going to go up to the main event in Thornton, which is at 144th and Washington. That's where that's our final destination with the motorcycles. And that, you're right, that is kind of a party atmosphere up there. It's really good to socialize with everybody that supports us, and we just have a great time at the main event in Thornton.
It's the 12th time we do it, everyone. And it starts at, and again, thanks to Frank DeAngelis, it starts at Columbine High School, and the doors open at 8. And what time do we pull out, boss?
We are going to hopefully be wheels up at 10:30.
There you go.
On our way. So our ceremony is going to start around 9:30 with posting of the colors. We're going to sing the national anthem, and we're going to do a nice ceremony right there in Columbine's parking lot.
And it's so emotional, and it's especially now after this week. And so the 12th annual MC1 Honor Run Motorcycle Fundraising Ride benefiting the MC1 Foundation, Sunday, September 28, 2025. This is the man, Mark Miller. And you can go online. Registration's up and running. What's the website, real quick, Mark, to register?
MC1foundation.com. There's several different links on there about our current events. We have a couple things going on right now. I'm up at the Grace Church for a big car show all day today.
Oh, man.
Next, we're going to be at Saucy's Pizza for all hours of operation. He's going to donate 15% of everything he sells in pizza pies next Saturday.
I'll come out there. If I can pull this off, I'll ride out and be with you. You riding your street bike, or you in uniform?
I'm going to be pulling our MC1 trailer.
Okay.
I would love to be on a bike, but I have a lot of stuff to set up, and we will have our full booth out there. Again, that's these events are just leading up to our big honor run in 2 weeks. But we're always glad to talk to good people, and we're always looking for help.
Now, just to give a little background on Mark, you guys went on, they're called adventure bikes now. They're off-road bikes. Talk about that trip. Talk about the trip you just took.
Well, it's kind of a new hobby for me and some of my motorcycle cop buddies. We got into these adventure rides, and so we just, you strap all your camping gear to your motorcycle and take off for the weekend. And really, with other than maybe a route, you have no other plans on where you're going to spend the night or anything. And it's been an awesome time getting into the Colorado mountains and getting on a bike.
What are you riding? What's your off road?
I have a KTM 890 Adventure car.
Okay.
That seems to suit me. I had a little bit bigger bike the first time I purchased one, and I downsized from the 1190 down to the 890, and it seems to fit me better on the off-road stuff.
I know so many people now that are off-road motorcycling, and it's just incredible. They love it. It's absolutely incredible. So
it's a great way to get away from people and enjoy our mountains and our scenery, and I can't tell you, it's been a great hobby.
I'll talk to you in the middle of the week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right. 303-696-1971. And again, the MC1 Foundation announces the next one, the 12th, coming up. And it's September 28th at Columbine High School, and the rest we'll talk more about. We are talking about the events of last week and the murders of the Evergreen killings or Evergreen shootings, rather, and then what happened, this great sadness with Charlie Kirk. What's going on in our country? This is Jeff. Jeff, you're on the radio show and you waited. Good morning.
Pete, how you doing this morning?
I'm well, thank you.
Wish I was down there to ride with you guys on that big one. I've done that a couple times with you.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah. I've got some thoughts on these shooters that we've had in the past and current events. And it kind of clicked in my head that the guy that cut this girl's throat in Charlotte.
Yeah.
He said he had spots in his head and there were things there that he was trying to get help for, mental illness. And look at you'll be familiar with this. Look at the MK Ultra project, the Haight-Ashbury project.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they were ever closed down. I think they were splintered up and moved into our education system.
Have you sat down with this lengthy book entitled Chaos?
Yes.
There you are. Now, yeah. I don't. I mean, I mentioned earlier the book came out after Arthur Bremer shot George Wallace in the parking lot in Maryland and crippled George Wallace. And so they're leading him from the parking lot, Maryland troopers, and they write about it. And he looks at one of the troopers, Arthur Bremer, and says, "I'm somebody now, aren't I?" And the other book to read is a book entitled RFK Must Die. We've talked about it a little bit on the show off and on, and it kind of ties into chaos. And they got Sirhan's diary. And in tiny, you ever read about that book? And in every very tiny handwriting, and remember, he's Palestinian, but he's a Christian. Sirhan's a Christian. And he writes, RFK must die, RFK must die, RFK must die, RFK must die. Little bitty page after page after page. And it was a Los Angeles Times reporter, and they went in, and one of his colleagues said, "Look, these are hypnotic encouragements or reinforcers or words to that effect." And they go in, he takes a hypnotist, and right away Sirhan goes into they're called a trance. I don't know what it's called, but Sirhan goes off reality and then climbs the bars of the cell. And these guys say this has happened to him before. And who knows? I mean, that book Chaos says that, the doctor meets Charlie and hate, and they're trying to develop the perfect killer, and got me.
All the records from that have been destroyed, other than some financial. The Haight Asbury Clinic, I think it shut down here 20 years ago, but it stayed open for a long time.
Yep.
But not to be too conspiratorial
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
That's okay.
Hey, it's early up here in Alaska.
I'm hip.
I think there's a faction within this country, whether it be
that
private
wants
government.
Yes.
A star chamber, deep state. That this is what they're striving for. They're controlling power with it.
Well, if in fact that is the grand conspiracy, as you know, or is this just randomness? The kid in Evergreen, and I don't have any more information than anyone else does, but he was radicalized and apparently holding anti-Semitic, very violent views. I can read you about the accounts. There were these people that go around, and they're called Holocaust deniers, and I've been up against them a couple of times, and they say no, the Holocaust never happened. And it's unbelievable, but they do exist. And the name of the accounts appears to apparently reference to white supremacist stuff, and all these are the things that and now he's dead. He took his own life, Desmond Hawley, and he's reading all this stuff all the time. And other videos, apparently the account, he reposted things that were explicitly anti-Semitic, or he depicted people in Nazi uniforms. And so I think he's 18 or was 18, but he's gearing himself up. He's working himself into this.
Yeah, they bring themselves into a frenzy, and there's got to be some external input there somewhere, somehow.
Apparently, one of the kids that he shot, Matthew Silverstone, is a Jewish kid, but he was out there reloading and shooting at little kids. I mean, where does that come from? And he's loading and reloading the was a revolver, and He's shooting away at little kids.
Yeah, and I think our mental health industry has a lot to do with this. I don't think our mental health industry is good for our country.
Well,
I think they are enabling it.
are there a lot of people in emotional trouble?
I think there are, and I think they're being controlled in a...
All right. Would you say the Evergreen shooter, he's 16, by the way, just double checked, Desmond Hawley, is he mentally ill? Is he crazy? Or is he just who he is?
I think he had mental illness.
I'm not sure.
He might have been crazy.
I'm not sure.
There was something there that drove that.
But I'm not sure that I don't believe he was crazy. I don't believe the shooter that killed Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson. I don't believe he was crazy. I don't believe Klebold and Harris were crazy. I don't believe the guys that killed Alan Berg were crazy. I don't believe that.
They were crazy in the sense like Charlie Manson was crazy.
Now Charlie had some significant things in his past, but Charlie wasn't crazy.
Charlie was a criminal.
He spent all of his life, most of his life, in prison, and Charlie was sick. Charlie was a lot of things, but he wasn't crazy.
Yeah, right. When I say crazy, I guess not criminally or clinically crazy or mentally ill,
Yeah.
to where they would consider it, mental illness.
No, he's not.
But
he's not.
They're calculated.
Well,
they're very calculated.
But there are people that are just like that. Here's the interesting thing: when you come to this, when belief becomes fact, which is very frightening. But if you look at what the Germans were doing in Europe, they did not think they were doing something bad. They thought they were doing something good. And we see, and that's the difference. Now, were all of those men crazy? No. They really believed that what they were doing was the right thing. When
they were conditioned.
Thank you.
Yeah,
They weren't mentally ill. I mean, the people that worked at Auschwitz or Bergen-Belsen or Ravensbrück, they had to be relieved because killing like that apparently. But the what was it, the Waffen SS, the Death's Head, the people that came in Ukraine and built camps and killed people, they thought they were doing the right thing.
They were conditioned to do that.
There you are.
Look at the similarities, the odd similarities of a lot of these shooters that we've had in the last 20 years. The quirkiness, the strange.
Klebold and Harris weren't crazy.
No. They knew what they were doing.
Of course
and
they
knew
did.
it was wrong.
Yeah.
The Aurora shooter.
He knew.
Yeah.
There's the music.
He thought he was going to...
Thank you. Jeff, I got to pull the pin. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
All right, we have one line open. What's wrong with America? And how did we get here? 710 KNUS, end of a horrible week. I'm Peter Boyles. Hang on. morning, everyone. Lines are jammed. 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. 710 KNUS Weather Center weather 78 and 51. A shot at rain. Much the same tomorrow and back to work Monday, 84 degrees. Danny Catholicism's law firm. And Danny, and I've watched him in action for so long, suggests that you choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says so much about you and everyone involved in the case. Dan said, we talk about his dad was a cop, we talk about his mom, and he has spent the last 40 years of his life helping people who are hurt in serious motorcycle and motor vehicle crashes, truck crashes. He's believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Danny Catholicism Law, official law firm of the Nuggets and the Avs. He's my guy. He's my friend, Dan Catholicism Law. Serious firm for serious cases. Believe me, he helped my family. If you need help, pick up the phone, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisslaw.com. Danny's last name is spelled Caplis law.com. Let's see. We go to, we got Reams on 4. Oh, cool. I wanted to do this because, well, first of all, he's had a hell of a week. And second of all, his opinion on this. His name is Steve Reams. I think many people know him. He's the sheriff of Weld County. He's going to move on after being sheriff to a job that he's running for office, and I think I'm really encouraging. But I want to begin, first of all, Sheriff, good morning. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Pete, it's always my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So, everything that we've talked about, the Evergreen High School shooter, the murderer of Charlie Kirk, and just in general, what are we watching? And I asked the same question to Mark Miller, how long have you been on the job, and then how much have you seen change?
Oh, man. Pete, that's a great question. I've been on the job for 28 years, and I've seen such a shift. I mean, we went from a time where, as law enforcement, we used to kind of, I don't want to say the upper hand, but when you'd arrest the bad guy, you knew that this dude was going to go away for a while. You knew that there was going to be some punishment around the crime that he did. And it seems as if the criminal justice system has just been turned upside down. And now there's no real consequences for a person's behavior unless it's extremely severe, like in the case of, someone assassinating Charlie Kirk. You have to believe this guy's probably going to spend at least the rest of his life in prison. But, even 20 years ago, that would have been an instant death penalty case, and you wouldn't even be concerned about whether or not this guy was going to remain on the face of the earth. In Utah, the death penalty is still in place, so maybe that's the case. But I don't know, the level of depravity that we're seeing with people who are committing crime in Colorado and, everywhere in the nation at this point is just, it's so severe. It's hard to watch. And I think a lot of that is because we've defanged the criminal justice system to where criminals get a free pass and victims remain victims.
Yeah, I mean, shooting up schools. And I know Columbine wasn't the first, but it was the big one. And and since then, and by the way, there's all this information about this Evergreen school shooter. He spent a tremendous amount of time online with neo-Nazi views and violent gore sites, and he amassed tactical gear. He bought it on the internet. He watched Klebold and Harris. I mean, there was a site called Watch People Die, but what Adam has just got his hands on is his actual people talking to him on the internet, and these guys are telling him, you need a GoPro battery, ear protection, and a patch. You got to get night vision. You got close to full up setup now, man. Time to make a move. And June of 25 on TikTok posts. And is bro going to become a hero? These are kids talking to him. You got to get a Sonrad patch like Benton on Peyton. I have some back, but I made the full Velcro fell off the back. I'm going to use stronger glue to fix it. He's talking to these kids about what he is planning on doing. Wow.
That's mind blowing, to be honest with you, Pete. I haven't seen that. Just to know that a place like that exists where kids are engaging in conversation is horrifying. But it goes to what I was saying. I mean, the level of depravity that exists in our society right now is it's off the charts, and it just gets fomented with these kinds of places where kids can go and not even kids necessarily, where people can go and just continue to spew their hate for certain things and be and be pumped up for it. I mean, I don't know. The world is it's a strange place at this point, and I don't know how you fix it. I really don't know how you bring yourself back from it, but it's scary at this point.
He apparently had a skull mask, and he had names on it, and one was, I've seen this many places, the 14 words, but he also had TJD, Total Jew Death.
Wow.
On his mask. Yeah, on his mask.
I don't know what you do with that, I mean, and again, somebody, you would think somebody would go, hey, there's a concern with this kid, but obviously if he's online with a bunch of people who are, who are of the same like-mindedness, no one's going to say anything. I mean, I don't. How do you stop it? How do you get ahead of it? And I mean, obviously, some of this comes back to parents being engaged and people paying attention to these websites. But I don't know what you do. It's just we're in a bad place in our society.
Well, this one kid says to him or prints to him, or you got close to a full setup now, man. Now, man, it's time to make your move. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a school shooting when I was a junior in high school, but it was gang related. I mean, there was a kid being what he believed was bullied by some other gang members. He came back into the school and fired a pistol and shot 6 kids. Luckily, no one was killed, but that was within feet from where I was at. Very scary time, but that was it was reactionary to something in the moment. And again, I'm not giving the guy any kind of any kind of excuse. But you look back and go, okay, well, that was a horrific incident. It was scary. People got hurt. But fast forward and to hear kids planning this out and encouraging one another, I mean, again, it just tells you how much different the world has become. And it's scary. You get many of your listeners have kids, grandkids in school, and you think, gosh, is this what they're subjected to every day? And, of course, the answer is possibly yes. And it's just... I don't know. It leaves you speechless. I really don't know what else to say other than this kid's broken, or he was broken, and you hope that, you just hope that at some point we pull things back.
I know that we had planned for you, and I think you should talk about your plans. This is a very good man, you guys. The sheriff and I were in Sturgis together. I've been up to his office. I've seen how he runs the show, and he is the man. He had quite a week with the governor, a close personal friend. And anytime you get Elon Musk, to give you an up, God, that has to be just really interesting. But when your term limited as the sheriff, talk about your plans, if you would, please.
Yeah, so I don't have much time left as a sheriff, just over a year, and so you got to start looking at what's going to be next. And as I said earlier, I've been with the county for 28 years, inside the sheriff's office, but in the county as a whole, I've had an opportunity to see other offices and other departments, and how the county government works. And I felt it's probably time for a transition over after my law enforcement career is over, and I announced that I'll be running for Weld County Commissioner. It'll give me an opportunity to continue to use what I've gained at the sheriff's office on a bigger platform and helping point the county in a positive direction. Weld County is one of the few counties that has no long-term debt, no short-term debt, no county sales tax. So we do things on a pretty tight budget, but we do things without impacting the community as much as possible when it comes financially, but still in a way that is responsible. And I think there's been a little bit of a straying from that over the last few years, and I just want to bring that fiscal responsibility back to Weld County and continue to push things in the right direction. So,
you the man. We'll get closer, and you may come down. You may bring Steve with you. Come down for MC1. That'd be great. So
that's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
I'll ride up halfway and meet you and ride in with you and Steve. Thank you, boss.
Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
Hey,
Sheriff Reams.
thank you, Pete.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Bye. We go back to open lines, and lines are jammed. I began, Caldera wasn't here this morning, so I started early, and I was writing this stuff down for a couple of days, and it's kind of gets down to two questions, and they just have broad answers. And one is, and I guess it should be, is there something wrong with America, or rather, what is wrong with America? And then the other question is, how did we get here? And during this week of talk radio and television and watching MSNBC and CNN and then watching Fox and just watching around and reading, because now with everyone with a computer at home and watching, reading, and inevitably, perhaps once an hour, some elected official would show up on a piece with it. Didn't matter what network, CNN or Fox, or it didn't matter. And they would say that this violence is not what America's all about. There were all these different versions of saying it. And finally I said, nonsense. It is exactly the way things are. It is exactly now part of our fiber. And fear is a great motivator. And a lot of people live in fear, rightfully so. They fear for their children and grandchildren at school. And have we gone insane? We've abandoned the hard work of fixing problems for the satisfaction of blaming somebody else for them. We've lost sight of core America. And we've descended into tribalism. All right, let us begin. Let's go, I think, Dwayne and Divide, I think you sat the longest. I appreciate it. Good morning. You're on the show.
It's an honor to speak with you, and
of.
I hope for great results with MC1 tomorrow. So I hope that all works well for you guys.
Actually, it's on the, look at it, Peter. It's on the 28th.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm active on other things. You and I spoke about 6 months ago, and I said that we're kind of traveling into 1970s France, where the left becomes more and more radicalized, and we're seeing people on the right with the same thing. There is no middle anymore. It seems like there's a murkiness, but it seems, as you just said seconds ago correctly, we are into tribalism, and there's no more discussion. It's now, I hate to say the word bomb throwing, but it's verbally we're tossing things back and forth, and we're not finding a way to have a civil discourse.
I was mentioning, and again, I'm all over the boards, and it's hard to say when I was a young man, but we watched Walter Cronkite, or at least I did. And there were 3 networks, and in the end of every cast, Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. And I believed him. I don't believe anything now on television, one side or the other. And I, like I said, when I watch these elected and appointed and self-appointed and behind the microphone people talking about these terms, and I'm paraphrasing 25 different versions, but this has no place in our country, and this isn't what democracy is. This isn't what America is. And I'm looking, I'm listening, I'm going, nonsense. This is exactly what we are. And was there, you sound like an old guy like me. Do you remember school shootings? Because I don't.
No, I remember going out to the Air Force Academy High School and kids having rifles in the back for the shooting team.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember a fact that if anybody had an issue, it was either settled out on the front quad
Yep.
quickly before a teacher ran out, and everyone pretty much followed simpler rules. When we have the big three, everybody was basically getting the same. And my son was asking me the other day, he said, when the guy on here, I said into the early 70s, I said, men usually had shorter hair. They wore hats because of religious reasons mostly, and ladies were dressed in coiffed. And I said they were done to sit there and show pride in themselves and others. And then we've allowed a relaxation of all these kinds of things to where now you see people walking through Walmart and everything with these options. And anyway, we're in a culture that needs to come back. We've stretched one part of the pendulum. We need to come back to a different
Thank
direction.
you. I got to pull the pin. Thanks, Dwayne. One line's open, 710 KNUS. is 9:45. It's Saturday morning. I'm Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. And we had a whole show lined up, then we scrapped it and going to all open lines this morning. And it's a difficult question. Is there something or what's wrong with this country and how did we get here? 78 will be the high, says the 710 KNUS Weather Center. 75, and then 84, 79 is still, it's beautiful, beautiful weather. Talk to you about our friends at Water Pros. And Water Pros, really, I mean, we got Water Pros. They care about the quality of your water. The smartest thing you can do, and it's a gimme, it's a free one, and you're looking to remove forever chemicals and microplastics and hard water. And you can get this process, this test. Go to waterpros.net, or I'll give you the phone number, and sign up for your free in-home consultation. They come to your home, and they test your water, and they show it to you. They answer all of your questions and your concerns about your water. I trust these guys. Trust them with my water. Trust them you as well. Water Pros is family-owned and veteran-owned, dedicated to providing you the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. Go to waterpros.net today. Get the free water test. You call them right now, 303-862-5554. They'll get right back to you. 303-862-5554, and ask for my special, the Peter Boyles Special. And again, you get a water softener, you get point of reverse osmosis, drinking water systems fully installed. But first they'll test your water, and that's a gimme. 303-862-5554. We go to San Francisco, and this is David. David, you're on the show. Good morning.
Oh, thanks, Peter. Yeah, and, I think I'm still optimistic about America. But specifically, I think what's going on is a pack of currency speculators have bought the PR people to convince America that it should give up its birthright for a bowl of or a handful of crypto coin. And if you look at it, taxation with representation was the big deal in 1776. We, the people, said that we can run our own lives and we don't need no stinking king. And along comes, a couple of centuries, and civics is not regularly taught to the kids anymore. And the adults have been so beaten down by corruption in high office that people are not voting anymore. And
turnouts have been pretty big.
Well, they've been better, but they're not 50-50.
Well, but once again, the turnouts on Trump and Hillary were big. Trump and Biden were big, and Trump and Kamala, they were large turnouts.
They were, you're old enough to remember back in the 70s, 80s, 90s that you were lucky to get 25% of the population to show up.
Depended,
I'm not even.
Well, Kennedy Nixon was a huge turnout and a swipe, but Kennedy Nixon had an enormous turnout. Nixon Humphrey had a large turnout. Wasn't true with McGovern, but it was true with the others.
Yeah, well, the bigger picture is that we, the people, own this country, and the PR spin from these currency speculators I referred to is that they have tricked America into thinking that government should be run like a business. Well, government is supposed to.
Would you come back to the question about the country and is there something wrong with this country?
Well, we've been BS'd. We've been tricked into thinking that management of our property, we've got national parks to maintain. We've got roads and bridges. We've got locks and dams. We've got all sorts of property. America owns property, and it needs maintenance. And we need a property manager. And the president is supposed to be a smart property manager, But unfortunately, we've been tricked for generations now into thinking that government should be run like a business instead of as a nonprofit. And if you have a sewer department,
But
you got a sewer department, you need it run as
when the framers were together, do you think that they were saying they were guaranteeing you 3 hots and a cot? No.
No, but
go slow. Come back. And their job was, and I'm totally making it simple, but it was protect the shores and deliver the mail. And the Army was not going to be standing, Jefferson's warning, and they went about arguing about where the seat of power would be. And by and large, foreign entanglements were a warning, and the kinds of things that we have, just national banks were a warning. Now we got that. If you go back to the framers, the guys that called the shots, the guys that fought the war to get us liberated from the king, they wanted a whole separate. It wasn't what we're watching now. How's that?
Well, again, we've got things like locks and dams, and you remember how DOJ cut the budget on the dam inspectors.
Well, I understand that, but that's
you want Lake Stanley collapsing.
Look, David, that didn't cause Charlie Kirk's murder and the insanity that we just went through.
I'm telling you that PR spin is teaching America nothing. PR spin is tricking America into thinking that we don't need to fix our stuff, and that eventually our stuff is going to be snapped up at bargain prices by Project 2025.
And I agree there's all kinds of other issues, but this part of violence, in other words, we can't fix problems because it seems to me we're unable to agree on what the problems are. And that's
not true at all. As a matter of fact, most people agree that we need libraries. Most people think we need a health department. Most people think we need dam inspectors.
That's not what we're talking about here. And by the way,
yes,
libraries are closing because of the internet. In the Denver Public Library that used to be my second home when I was going to school is now filled with junkies. And I wouldn't take my grandson in there on a bet. So,
well, then, do you want to give up your birthright? That's what the issue is.
I'm not giving up anything. Listen to me. I'm not giving up anything. I'm asking a question, or actually 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 questions. But certainly, I never said, and I'm giving up my birthright.
Well, like I say, if America has been tricked for decades on this, and actually, I could take. If you look at the original principle of taxation with representation, we have doubled backwards on it now, and we don't have the rich pay taxes, so they get representation without taxation.
Well, but there was no idea for it till it was Woodrow Wilson. I got to jump. I appreciate. Thank you. We go to Joe in Arvada. Joe, you waited. Good morning. You're on the show.
Hi, Pete.
Hey, Joe.
I would say that if Charlie Kirk represented courageous faith, and I believe he did, these shooters and these evildoers represented the embodiment of evil. And it says it clearly in the Bible, the human heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? That's from Jeremiah. And this kind of evil has existed since the beginning of man. The reason that America became great is because we took a respite from worshiping evil and worshiped the Creator and the Lord Jesus Christ.
No,
that made us great.
The British were Christian. They were the Church of England. They were.
Well, the king, wanted his version of religion enforced.
Not George. George is way down the line from Henry, And they were the
Well,
church. They went to church. They were churchgoers. They were Christians.
I understand. They all wanted their version of the church.
Everybody does.
But I believe this, that the reason that America became great is because the founders.
Hey, Joe, I got a break, so I want to give you time. I'll put you on hold, and I'll bring you back. Joe from Arvada, our lines are jammed. I'm Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. Second hour, 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station, Saturday. 710 KNUS Weather Center. Weather 78 the high today. Rain this afternoon. Later about 6, I guess. 75. Better be. I got my motorcycle out there and going for a ride. 75 tomorrow on Sunday and Monday, 84 degrees. It has been a turbulent week between the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk and then the insanity up in Evergreen High School. But it's an ongoing thing, and I got a lot of phone calls asking me about the murder of Alan Berg, a radio talk show host who was also killed for what he was saying on the show. But other things as well, the ongoing insanity of what took place in Jefferson County. So is there a legitimate question of what's wrong with America? Or is there something wrong with America? And how did we get here? And we're jammed lines. We've been full lines. I took over for Caldera this morning. But we go back. He waited. Thank you for doing that. Joe in Arvada, you're back on the air. Go ahead.
Well, I don't propose a theocracy. I hear that all the time coming from the left. But I do propose a moral people. And that has to be led by the church. The leaders in the church, like Charlie Kirk, who spread his faith like wildfire through the campuses, the universities. There are going to be countless Christians because of Charlie Kirk spreading the gospel.
Which church do you prefer?
Christianity and the Bible.
Well, I know, but that carries with
following Christ.
I know, but Catholic, the Catholic version, Roman Catholic version?
Well, without getting into deep theological debate,
get into
it. Here, in heaven, there won't be a denomination check. You will either follow Christ as King, or you will not be there.
What does that say about Catholicism, Roman Catholicism?
Well, I think that there are many different denominations that have tried to add things to the gospel, and that's very dangerous.
Straight answer, Joe.
Well, I will say this. I believe there are some saved Catholics, but on the whole, I believe it's a corrupted Christianity.
So they're not going to make it.
Well, I said that, again, there won't be any denomination check in heaven. It doesn't matter if you're a Catholic or a Protestant or a Methodist.
You did say that.
If you believe in Christ and follow him as your Savior, you will be saved.
What about Jews?
Well, the Jews originally followed, of course, the covenant given to Moses from God directly. And they were covered by that covenant, the Mosaic covenant.
Joe, will they end up in heaven?
They will be saved if they follow the Mosaic covenant. Yes.
So there's a caveat.
Well, see, Jesus became the sacrifice for all, the propitiation for all sin.
I'm asking you about Judaism. Will Jews be in heaven with you?
If the Jews follow the covenant given by Moses, yes.
And if they don't?
Well, I mean, you can answer it for yourself.
I'm not. You need to answer
Well, that's why God gave the covenant, is so that they could be saved.
So in essence,
the reason Jesus gave his son is so that all of us could be saved, not just the Jews.
So, but the Jews aren't being saved. The Jews are not going to go to heaven, are they?
Well, I would say this: if they're not following Christ. No.
You see?
If they don't follow the Abrahamic or the Mosaic covenant, no.
So
let me ask you this:
Sure.
If a Christian says that he's Christian but doesn't follow Christ, is he saved?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm asking you.
I don't know.
Well, you don't. If you're a Christian and propose or profess following Christ but don't. How can you be saved?
Joe, I'm not the one that's making the case. You are. So what about?
Well, I'm trying to say to you, by definition, you can answer the people who say that they believe that Jesus is their Savior.
What about all the?
But they act like the devil.
What about the Hindus of the world? What happens to them?
Well, if they follow Jesus Christ, they can
don't.
be saved.
They don't. What about Buddhists?
There you go.
Same thing.
It says in the Bible, the road is wide to destruction, but the path is narrow to salvation.
So you have condemned Hindus, Buddhists, Jews?
I haven't condemned anybody.
Yes, you
Jesus
have.
said, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
The Jews,
No man comes, just a moment, no man comes to the Father but by me. That's the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, all right. So what about Hindus?
Well, do they follow the Lord Jesus Christ?
No, they don't.
Okay, there probably are some Hindus that decided to follow Jesus and left their faith.
Hi. So the rest of them, see you later.
Well, I will say that.
Where do they go?
The Bible makes it clear that the remnant is saved.
Where do they go?
Look at the Jews. When the Jews left Egypt, how many went into the Promised Land?
Well, first of all, I don't buy that one anyhow. But my point is,
well, I know you don't. But I'm just asking you. I'm asking you by the belief system of the Jews. How many of the Jews went into the Promised Land
after 40 years?
Yes.
Well, it was a pretty small number that made it back, but they weren't first
Only
generation.
the families of Jacob and Caleb.
That's what I'm saying. Very small number. But let me
see that is a good example. That's an archetype of what's to come. Only the families of Jacob and Caleb went. Only a remnant was saved that went into the Promised Land.
Wow.
That's
so
right.
Where do the Hindus go when they die?
Well, but the Bible makes it clear that there is a hell, and that those who, and there are, by the way, there are even gradations of hell. In other words, for those, like one of the worst hells that there is for those who profess Christ, but then follow the enemy.
So who sits closest to the fire?
Who sits closest to the Father?
Yeah, to the fire of hell.
Oh, well, let's start with who sits closest to the Father. Jesus Christ sits at the right hand of the Father.
Who sits closest, according to...
Who sits closest to God?
To the fire. No, to the fire. The fire.
Well, really, all of hell is the absence of God. In other words, hell in itself is the opposite of heaven because of this reason. There is no access to the Lord God Almighty.
So
it's eternal separation from God.
So what's hell like?
Well, there you go. What is it like to be eternally separated? They say in prison, I'll give you an example. In prison, the worst thing you can have is being isolated into, what do they call that, where you're put in a cell, you don't have any contact.
Solitary confinement.
Yeah, solitary confinement. Well, hell is eternal solitary confinement.
So it's not burning, there's no flames, there's no demons?
I believe this. It says that the cankerworm never ceases to eat the flesh. It's eternally, painful and awful. Yes.
Man. Well.
Hell isn't pretty. And I would say to you this: God doesn't want one person to go to hell, but for there to be eternity with Him.
Yeah.
There had to be a hell because of this reason.
Yep.
If heaven was a place of filth with death and destruction in it, it wouldn't be heaven. So death and destruction have to be omitted from heaven. And for it to be omitted from heaven, it has to be isolated away from heaven.
Do Mormons go to heaven?
Those who believe in the Lord Jesus Christ will be saved.
See, look what you're doing. You're dodging my question. Do Mormons go to heaven?
If the Mormons believe in the Lord Jesus, I think they do. I think that there's a lot of people that are different denominations. They try to add to the gospel.
I see.
And that's very dangerous.
So
because it becomes.
You can say it. Mormons don't go.
Well, I'm not saying. See, it's not me to judge. It's the Lord Jesus Christ.
So the man that you believe in says that Mormons can't make the cut.
I didn't say that he said that. If they follow Jesus,
Yeah.
like let me give an example.
All right.
I believe listening to Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
I believe he believes in the Lord Jesus Christ and follows him.
Okay.
Now, do I know his heart? It says in the Bible, no man can see into another man's heart. In other words, I can't tell if you're going to heaven or hell, Peter, but by the evidence of, the fruit of your lips and what you say, you say it yourself. You don't believe in Jesus Christ. You don't believe he existed.
No, I don't believe in heaven and hell.
Well, there you go.
There it is.
Yeah, you say that, but Jesus certainly did. He preached all the time about it.
Well, according to what has been written 2,000 years later, but yes. The answer is yes.
I would disagree with you.
You can.
Charlie Kirk would be a better man to argue apologetics, but he knew that there were thousands around Christ that understood entirely what Jesus said, and he meant what he said. There is a heaven and a hell, Peter.
Let's find out. Take care, Joe. Thanks.
You will.
All right, man. All right. No, I mean, everybody's upset how a believer being dismissive of a believer is really classless, Peter. You're acting like an ass. No, I'm just asking who's going to heaven and hell. If that jams up, it's what it is. We go next to Brent in Morrison. Hey, Brent, you're on a radio show Saturday morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are we today?
I'm well.
Yeah. It's this is probably the heaviest I can remember in my life since 9/11. To be honest with you.
Indeed.
I think this. I don't think anybody, including myself, was quite aware of the impact that Charlie Kirk had on people.
Oh man.
And the ripples of that bullet are still resonating throughout this world.
He was on his way to being, first of all, the next Rush Limbaugh, and I think his trajectory would have been beyond even Rush Limbaugh's. But he was on the move. He's 31 years old. I mean, Limbaugh was in his 60s when we lost him, and that's a lot of years.
Well, I'll take it one further than that. I think he was the next president of his generation.
Well, I have friends that say, that young generation who say that's their Kennedy.
Right. Thank you. That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah. No, I believe
these kids are hurting right now. I mean, like you and I of a certain age. I had nothing but he was an impressive young man, and but these kids, like what he did for this country's youth.
Yeah.
I don't think most older people understand the gravity that he had on them, and it kind of winds me into the next couple statements that. I don't believe this kid they pulled in was the shooter.
Wow.
The way that they've said he got that roof or the rifle onto the roof, stuff a 30-06 down your trousers sometime and try to climb stairs with it.
I mean, it wasn't. Remember, it wasn't a black gun, and that's. When this first started, and I got to tell you, I believed it was some kind of Carlos the Jackal guy. Like somebody, a professional.
Right.
And it turns out the guy had a Mauser, a 30-06 Mauser.
That's heavy.
It's a big gun. I mean, it's a heavy gun.
Yeah.
But 200 yards, he had glass on it, so you could see.
Look where that scope is sitting. Take a peek at where that scope sits. It's about 3 inches back towards your face than you would normally have a scope. It doesn't look like it's shootable.
Okay.
Yeah, it caught me the other day.
All right.
That's neither here nor there. One of Charlie's final, in the last month, most disturbing statements was on Patrick Bet-David's show. And he let something out of his mouth that I think froze a lot of people. He said, in my stance on Israel and what Netanyahu is performing right now, and he stopped and said, I got to be careful how I say this. He apparently has done a 180 on his support for Israel.
Yeah, he had, or did, yes.
And another interesting, I stand back and wait for reactions. The day this happened, they decided to pull Netanyahu on the Greta Van Susteren show, where he proclaimed a letter that Charlie had written him with undying support. And I said, what an odd guest to have at this time. this leads me into the whole next thing that I think the problem in this country right now is that you are not allowed to criticize Jews and bounce Israel into this equation.
There's a difference between a Jewish population in the United States of America and the people that are known as Zionists.
Yeah.
And that's why when I listen to radio talk show hosts who say the Hamas is anti-Semitic, well, they're Semites. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, to me, it's
people
like
of the desert. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the lost, I don't know, education level of what's happening on talk radio. But they say, well, they're anti-Semitic. No, they're not. They can't, well, unless they're anti themselves.
Yeah.
Because Palestinians are Semites, Jews are Semites. If you go to the Middle East and spend time with them, they'll tell you who's who. Jordanians are Arabs, but they're Hashemites. Egyptians are Egyptians. They're not, I mean, they disclaim the other part. Lebanese aren't Arabs, they're Phoenicians. You know, Afghans are Aryans.
Yep, Zoroastrians and on and on.
And so, and as are Iranians, Iraqis are Arabs, Jordanians, Syrians, you know, all of that stuff. But when I hear people on radios talk about they're anti-Semites, I said, no, they're not.
Yeah, I think that's why we are sitting in places where words don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
That people don't have a concept of definitions and historical references to things, and that's the purpose of using words over and over and over. It's not a legal alien, or it's not a illegal alien. It's a undocumented. Words. Things get moved around. You know.
But what I've seen happen is we have allowed "I believe" to mean the same thing as it's a fact. It's a fact,
yes.
And it's not.
Yes.
The stolen election. No, it didn't happen. And finally, I forgot to ask Joe, who was a strong election was stolen guy, where everybody's paying off, including where I'm sitting right now with a microphone in front of me, paying off for what they did. And so now, do you still believe it was stolen? No. I mean, anybody that still does.
That's exactly. You can make up whatever narrative you want to follow.
But the part of it was I believe, and I believe now in their minds is the same thing as it's a fact, and that's basic epistemology. Where how do you prove what you believe is factual, and it isn't. I mean, it just
without proof, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The state of where we are right now is I can't tell you how many people I have severed relationships with by their reaction to Charlie Kirk. This has been, and I think the shockwave of this literally jerked people off of their couch that were either unaware or unwilling to step into a little higher calling. But we are in a societal breakdown of epic proportions. Just viewing the responses of celebration over this, and to a level where never in my life would I have ever wished something that some of these people are saying on.
Oh, no.
Charlie was firstly a faith warrior, and he was always open to dialogue with people and in a reasonable format where he would let ideas flow. And I'm tired of hearing people say, we need more dialogue, we need more discretion and discussion, but he had the platform for it.
Well, that's that once every hour someone said, this is not part of America. My question to you, Brett, is it part of America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in it.
Thank you. I got to hit the wall. Thank you. One line's open, 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Saturday morning, everyone. 710 KNUS. Thanks for being here. Lines are jammed. Phone number is 303-696-1971. It's a Saturday, and 78 will be the high, then 51. But we had rain coming, much the same tomorrow, and 84 on back to work Monday. The question is about our country and what we've witnessed again this week. And is there something wrong with our country? If so, how did we get here? Or could define it to what it is. We go to Ben in Morrison. Ben, you waited. Thank you so much. You're on the show.
Yeah, hey Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, brother, I can.
Okay. I think a lot of this started generating around kind of in the early 90s. And I think Newt Gingrich was a very, very big part of that. He came out in 1990 and distributed a flyer among members of Congress. It was titled Language, a Key to Mechanisms of Control. And it was basically a pamphlet how to discuss your adversaries and how to discuss yourself. So for Republicans, you need to use words like courage, crusade, principled, truth, vision, reform, family. And then if you're talking about Democrats, anti-child, anti-flag, collapse, failure, radical, they, them, welfare.
Did you ever read Lansky or read the Frankfurt School out of Columbia that did exactly the same thing, but Nazi and hangman and racist and misogynist, and they have a set of words too.
No, I'm not familiar with that work.
Well, you
when
should.
did that come out?
Lansky's Rules for Radicals comes out in the 50s. The Frankfurt School comes in the 30s, but they are become part of what Columbia University is about. And there's guys like Herbert Marcuse and people like that, but they have their set of words, and it's tempting to blame this on both of those issues. I just wonder when I hear that, because we just passed the 9/11, but we had a 17-year war in Afghanistan, and the sins of the Afghans were harboring Osama bin Laden. Although, and I'm writing about it now, the Pakistanis paid no price for doing the same thing. They harbored Osama. The Afghans, without knowing, there was probably 25 or 30 people that knew, and that reinforces the idea that we feel, we can bomb the offender? That's what we're doing in this country. We are bombing the person who offends you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I guess to a degree it does.
To a degree.
Yeah, I'd have to maybe get a little bit more information and think on that maybe a little bit more. I'm not slow to make conclusions generally.
Well, I'm not throwing rocks either.
Not quick to make conclusions without getting a little bit more information.
Enough.
So
all right, fair enough. So what?
But yeah, I think the Pakistanis were involved, with some of that with hiding Osama.
No, they were somewhat
complicit.
Him. Yeah, but why didn't we kill a bunch of Pakistanis?
They have nukes.
Maybe that may be the answer. That may be the answer. All right, fair enough. So,
but I think a lot of this started in the early '90s, I think
before. But go ahead.
I think a lot of it also came out of some right-wing media figures, like Rush Limbaugh, Roger Ailes.
Why was Limbaugh so successful? Limbaugh took the business over, owned it. Everybody that sits behind one of these microphones owes Limbaugh huge, because he brought talk radio back. Why was he successful?
I think partially because he came out time-wise at a era where Clinton was in office, and Clinton was a pretty decently corrupt president. Not just maybe not corrupt, but a moral president. A lot of sex scandals, ran a good economy, but he was low hanging fruit.
Well, presidents ride the last economy, and they don't have. I mean, the economy that Bill Clinton rode was really Ronald Reagan's economy, and it
there was
wasn't.
Bush in between there, and Bush ran a depression.
No, Bush.
Or not a depression. God, what's the other one? Not depression. God, why can't I think of it?
Recession is Herbert Walker
Recession.
Bush, but he also fought another war, and I mean, all of those things tied together. But there's a nexus in economies, and by the way, presidents can't fix economies, in spite of what people want to say. That's also, if that power was there, why didn't Herbert Hoover use it? Well, because it isn't there. So, what are you watching happen?
I guess I'm seeing. First of all, the right has been overly violent for years and years, and then I'm seeing the left starting to react in the same.
But all of these
fashion,
shootings,
in the same
I mean,
manner.
look, why shoot Charlie Kirk? I mean, why shoot? I mean, Alan Berg's shooting, his murder, was done by neo-Nazis. This kid in Evergreen apparently proclaimed himself that.
Yeah, and I don't support any of these shootings or any of that.
No, it isn't important. I'm not
it's horrible.
I'm not personalizing this. I'm saying that these shooters are. When people want to blame trans people for shooting, this is the act of these are acts of, by and large, men. I can't answer your question. I can't answer it to myself.
I see a lot of things that are coming out that get excused. Like, for example, the January 6th people all got pardoned.
Yeah, but
I think there's a lot of frustration behind that creates frustration on the left when they see that, because they injured 140 officers.
But remember,
a lady got killed.
Remember, I'm the guy that took the heat for saying it wasn't stolen, and John Eastman, the guy standing next to Trump, hung up on me. But I'm saying that's an incident. What we're watching is ongoing, and I think they travel two separate tracks. I think the ongoing school shootings, that the first major school shooting, although it's not the first school shooting, is Columbine, and it seemed to be one after another. And you can watch. I have been, because of my friendship with Frank, I was able to watch the so-called basement tapes before they were burned. And they're talking far, crazy stuff, the two of them. And they're drinking a vodka bottle, and but they're not crazy. And that's important.
I think we're not doing anything to, take action against any of this stuff. We're not doing any gun reform laws. We're not doing any sort of initiative.
Colorado has got some, beginning 26th to 2026, so perhaps the second most restrictive, maybe third restrictive laws in the country.
But it's not a big deterrent if you can drive 3 hours up to Wyoming and skirt the law.
I'll give you.
It's like Ben, I can't get illegal fireworks. Well, yeah, I can. I just drive up to Wyoming.
Let me ask you, how would you like gun? Would you let anybody have a gun?
Yes, I would like a net. I am very fine with shotguns, bolt-action rifles. I think there should be a little bit more restrictions on, magazine-required firearms. I think I don't really have the issue with the training class thing. And I think there should be a national registry.
So when the government wants to know who's got guns, they can find them.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Okay. Would you want to be the first guy on the door that knocked and said, "Give me your guns"?
going to come over and say, "Give me your guns."
Yeah,
they know that I have a gun, but who's saying they're coming for my gun?
Well, when they come for your guns.
That's a fictitious argument. That's not based on reality.
You said registered guns, so the government. I asked you so the government knows where they are. When you said, yeah, it'd be a good idea. So I'm asking you, what's the purpose if it's not going to be the purpose of coming and let's have your guns?
The purpose is if somebody's doing, for example, where most illegal criminals, like where most criminals get their guns is straw purchases. So if we can track down, for example, that, this guy has sold 30 guns recently, or this guy's bought 30 guns and they've all ended up in this, section of a gang. He's supplying with them. He's supplying them with weapons illegally.
What do you think? I once did an interview with a couple of Denver gang members. And I said, how quick can you get a gun? They said, give me $100, I'll be back in an hour.
Yeah.
So, but wait a minute.
That's why a national registry would be good.
That's not a law abiding. Remember, my grandma said locks are made for honest people. Now, 99%, I know a lot of people that have weapons. They're law abiding. They're unbelievable. And they are who they are. And there are people that are going to be willing, but they're generally criminals themselves. I give you the last comment. Take it.
I totally disagree with you on some of that stuff, and mainly that, yes, a registry would help track down illegal sales to felons, help get those people. That's what Mexico is always mad with us about. They're sending drugs up to us, which we don't like them for, and they're mad at us because that's where their cartels get guns, is they come up to the U.S. and buy them. And it's easy peasy. And they can skirt our laws really easy because our gun laws are so lax.
So when I see the Norteños or Sureños with full autos, someone bought them over the counter in America?
No, that's not probably right. That is an example of gun laws that actually work. Is we did do a full auto ban.
All right, so then
we have to get a class 3 firearm license.
How do the Norteños get full autos?
Probably other sources like Asia, different things like that. But they generally do come up here and buy them from the U.S. So if you're looking for, Glocks or other handguns, pistols, things like that, they're coming up here to the U.S. AR-15s, they're buying those here in the U.S. and driving them over across the border. And that's pretty well documented and pretty well established.
Well, again, you're willing to throw it away, and because of the criminal element. You take care of yourself, Ben. A good call. I liked it. 710 KNUS. Is there something wrong? If so, we good on time? 3 minutes. All right. We'll start with Ralph. Ralph in the Springs. Ralph, you're on the show. If we run out of time, I'll bring you back. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you where I'm going, and that is basically to Oliver Wendell Holmes on the First Amendment and child custody mediation in rural Nebraska. Now, let me get there. First, 3 points. 1, words have consequences. Your prior caller who spoke about Newt Gingrich and his analysis of words and how to use them was spot on. In order to think politically, philosophically, religiously, we need words. The old concept in the Ozark Hills, where I'm from, was fighting words. Unfortunately, Eric Blair identified, and we now are using, a metastasized newspeak, where we can call anyone fascist, communist, you're committing treason, you're a traitor, war, whatever. We have words that have multiplied and metastasized in terms of their meaning. Second point, how do we fix problems? Your question. And the answer shortly is one word: together. Now, I happen to have the privilege of taking Roger Fisher in his first conflict resolution course at Harvard. And fundamentally, I told him when I walked out that it was a nice theory, but it would never work. And I was wrong. Totally wrong. Third point. I ended up doing child custody mediation in rural Nebraska for a nonprofit. It is a terrible situation when parents are using their kids as a tennis ball. And how do you resolve that? I was quite successful because we had 4 requirements. 1, no fighting words. 2, focus on reality. The world as it is, not as it should be, not as you want it to be, but as it is. That's called reality. 3, teamwork. Raising kids requires working together, period, end of sentence. And 4, what it requires is prohibiting.
With respect, and we're coming up on a break and I'll put you on hold, that's individuals with your hands on it. We're talking about this country. If we could come back, put Ralph up on hold, and come back and talk about the nation. We're going to have open lines the entire morning, so we have jam lines now. Hang on. What is it? It's 39. It's 20 minutes before 11. I'm Peter Boyles. This is 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast will have some fair skies to start our Saturday, and then our last trough will lift northward, give us showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and tonight. Brief heavier showers at times with highs middle and upper 70s, lows tonight low 50s. Leftover shower over the metro Sunday morning, then sunshine upper 70s with lows near 50, sunshine low 80s on Monday. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call 720-851-1691 or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
We have full lines. It's been one hell of a week. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. Open lines all morning. We took over. Caldera was not here. Started at 7, and now we're into our show. A moment ago, Adam took me in the other room to show me a video. Apparently, this was maybe 2 days ago at night. There was a vigil for Charlie Kirk, and it took place in Boise. And this guy, Terry Wilson, comes in and goes, F Charlie Kirk. And it's on. And now they're reporting that this guy, Terry Wilson, had a handgun. Had a handgun in his bag, in his backpack. And also apparently some weed, but the weapon recovered was a handgun in this guy's. The shooter in Evergreen also was a handgun. All right, we go back to Ralph in Colorado Springs. You waited. What I'd like to say is, I mean, that's all this individual, but countries or the country itself, what are you watching happen?
I think, Peter, you forget something.
I forget a lot.
What you're forgetting is that the country is individuals. I mean, it is popular sovereignty. That means that each of us is the ruler. And I will go back to bring this together to what Ben Franklin said after he signed the Constitution. Basically,
if you can keep it.
No. What he said is, for when you assemble, this is now from the speech that James Wilson gave for him because he was too feeble to read it himself. Part of that is true, if you can keep it. That's what he said later. But in the speech, he says, for when you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their joint wisdom, you inevitably assemble with those men all of their prejudices, their passions, their errors of opinion, their local interests, and their selfish views. From such an assembly, can a perfect production be expected? I think not. Okay,
well, again,
that's us.
Know that there are, I mean, there are really brilliant people who say things, and I've watched them now all this week, and they deny the fiber of the country has been torn. They deny, they say this has no place in our nation, or political violence has, all these different versions. Do you believe this is now a part of our country?
Oh, yeah. It's been part of our country since day one.
No, not like this.
No,
Come
yeah.
on. Come on.
Go back to Jefferson and Hamilton.
I go back to, all kinds of different things, but you are in the ballpark. Do you remember school shootings? Because I didn't have them.
No, I didn't either.
Do you remember, although Allen Berg is a great example of the great sadness, but they killed this guy. They killed him for what he said.
No, Peter, I quite agree with you, and I'll just put it to you in a different way. When I grew up, and you grew up, you were reading about Congress, and it was Alan Drury. Remember that? Alan Drury's books on Congress, people getting along together even though they didn't like each other.
Well, advise and consent.
That's
yes.
gone.
Yes, no.
That's gone.
It's all
I mean,
gone.
that's why I say that your caller who called in and said Newt Gingrich was absolutely spot on.
Yeah, but Gingrich.
And the question,
with what
the question that I have is how you want to know how we fix it, and I'll give you an idea that I don't like, but it's called the First Amendment, and the solution to it was Oliver Wendell Holmes, and that is you do not use fighting words.
No, you don't yell.
Any of us.
Yeah, but look, do you think that the things that Kirk said on the show or Berg said on the show, they were fighting words? Or were they just amping it up? Because
well, that's the question. If it is amping it up, we are amping it up to disillusion.
I think there's way more than to what someone is saying, and I tried to offer some of it, but I think the most significant thing that I've witnessed in these last 5 or 6 years that we have allowed, I believe, to mean the same thing as it's a fact. And,
Absolutely.
And
But again, what you're going back to is not any joint attempt at resolution of what the facts are.
well, real quick, we were talking about I heard Billy talk about what they're going to do. And
I think Billy is spot on. The problem is, I don't think the American people, any of us, or most of us anyway, are willing to do it.
Well, I think the death penalty itself needs to be reinstated, but
Oh, no, not the death penalty. What he said before with regard to the words that we're using.
well,
There are 2 points on that ad.
once again, who are you or who am I to tell you what you can say? It just doesn't work. I'm going to jump. I love the call. Let's go to Iggy. Iggy, you're on the radio show. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Boyles. It's a nice soft morning, so I thought I'd talk a little treason with my friends.
Let's go talk a little treason. Let me just read this. This just came. Charlie Kirk's assassin lived with his transgendered partner. This source is a Brooke Sigmund. The individual who is a male transitioning to a female is fully cooperating with the FBI. Sources tell Brooke Sigmund the FBI had texts and other communications between Robinson and the individual that helped FBI authorities solidify that Robinson was indeed the shooter. That's just breaking. Go ahead if you would, Ig. Thank you.
So I was born halfway through a previous century, Any information we got or news was basically, for the most part, curated and absorbed by appointment. So in other words, the newspaper you'd sit down and read in the afternoons or the mornings, or the news on TV, or maybe on the radio, see. When I would get in a lot of fights, and a lot of times they just let it go. And we little boys felt the pain of violence. We knew that violence caused pain, right? So it's quite a little bit different than it is now. And then came CNN, and CNN started putting news on 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And basically, you'd get every little bit as it happened, or even if it didn't, people had to do corrections and things like that. And I think that has a lot to do with things. Also, when CNN came on, the networks and stuff really started using a lot of psychology to reach specific viewers and users of their product, right? Technology changed, and as it got more and more people went to full-time news, and we went on, and we finally got cell phones.
Are these the reasons? Are these the reasons why this is occurring?
Well, I'm getting to the point where these kids have access full-time.
No, but I'm asking you, is this the reason or of what's now wrong?
It's part of it.
How can you know too much?
Well, if you have misinformation, or
how can knowing too much be detrimental?
Well, it depends on how you judge it.
Who's going to be the judge?
The individual.
So if I'll watch a little bit of everybody, but I'm not a big news. I get more from the internet than I do from anybody. But what you're making, Ig, is a case for censorship. And
no, I'm not making a case for it at all. I'm
sure
just talking about reality.
Well,
no.
Reality deals off the bottom of the deck. What I'm saying to you is what we've done, and I come back to some notes to myself. When I watched Walter Cronkite, we called him Uncle Walter. You're probably old enough to have done the same thing. When he said, that's the way it is, hey, Pete Boyles said, that's the way it is.
And you're absolutely right there.
All right, so.
But now I'll listen to something and I'm saying, is that really true?
Well, no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're spot on. Is that really true? because most of it is, once again, as I said, when belief becomes it's a fact. Love your call. We're back, 710 KNUS. morning, everybody. 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. It's 11:03 on a Saturday. And all of this week, we had another show set to go with a lot of different moving parts. And then, of course, the insanity of this week, the murder of Charlie Kirk, and then what happened up in Evergreen. And it's just awful. 710 KNUS Weather Center weather on a Saturday. 78 will be the high. At 51, and then it's going to maybe be some afternoon. I'm sure will be afternoon rain, much the same tomorrow. And on Monday, it's going to be 84 for a high. I want to do this. I heard something during the break, and John Corbliss works on our show. He works here at the radio station, and there was a caller and a texter who called and texted, I think, practically every radio show in Denver. Pull that mic up to you a little closer. His name was Eric Manning, and he always said, "You great American."
You great American.
And we lost him.
Yeah, Eric J. Manning, as a matter of fact, just passed away about 6 days ago.
Man.
He was a regular caller on just about every show that I
Every
produced.
show.
And he was always great. And he's like, "John, you great American."
Always.
And you want to talk about someone who supported my change and my transition from, being a fat boy to losing weight and, my sobriety and everything and not being homeless anymore. Eric Manning became a very good friend of mine outside of radio, and he was just such an encouragement. Oh, my goodness. And it was so sad to hear that he had passed away.
He used to deliver burritos to David Ellis, and I would see him, and, he wasn't always fond of me, but I would... like I said, hey, wait a minute, Eric, come here, and we'd eat his burritos and talk, and I would see him at remotes, and, so that's sad. I really am.
It is, and, but it goes to speak to the type of people that we have listening, our fans, your fans, Mike Boyles fans, everybody's fans, and how they're dedicated to KNUS and everything, and he was more than just a fan, but like I said, he became a great friend of mine, and he was always encouraging. And I knew he was not feeling well, but
I am sorry.
I just, it's just sad because I will miss his shine. I will so miss his shine.
Thank you. I didn't know. That's very sad that we've lost Eric Manning. Well, thank you, John. Thank you for all the good work too, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
everybody.
It's an honor.
All right. To the man this morning, he sent me a good text. Good stuff this morning. Like you said, what's real? Used to feel real with Walter Cronkite, but not sure about, and it goes on, about most else since. So, and I wanted to read, I'll read this that just got hammered to us too. The source, again, is a Brooke Sigmund. Now, do I know this is real? I'm assuming because other people were saying it's real. Charlie Kirk assassin, Tyler Robinson, lived with his transgendered partner. The individual, who is a male transitioning to a female, is fully cooperating with the FBI. Sources tell me the FBI had text and other communication between Robinson and the individual that helped the FBI solidify that Robinson was indeed the shooter. Now, I assume the way this came to us that there's truth to it. I don't know that.
Well, real quick, Peter, and this is Adam, the producer. Brooke Singman is the Fox News digital political correspondent.
Okay.
So it is coming from somebody who's pretty reputable, but everywhere I've seen it does appear to be legit.
Okay. So here we are again, and asking the question, is there something wrong, or what is wrong with our country, and how did we get here? And where do we begin? We begin with, who's first, James? Let's go. James in Denver. I think you waited the longest. James, good morning and thank you.
Good morning, Peter. As far as Charlie Kirk, we're talking about him today. He knew what he was getting into, and he was really a super good human being. And the Christianity set aside, he would debate young people, and he would give them the platform to counter what he was saying. wherever he went, and we're going to miss him dearly. But what's the biggest problem I see in America these days is the number one asset that a country has is our children. And as a whole, every single American, we're failing our kids. We're not paying attention to what they're watching, what they're doing, who their teachers are, what are they being taught. This should be our number one priority in life is our children, and it's just not happening.
There is so much to what you're saying. We were talking earlier. The Germans during the time of Adolf Hitler knew about how you can run an education system. I mentioned that Lenin's wife ran education in Soviet Union after the Bolsheviks. Mao's people ran under Hirohito's Japan. They ran the education system. And I mean, it's just fact that whoever has their hands on the throttle, I think even the Fuhrer once said, you give me the kid till he's 6 or 7, I'll give him back to you, but he's mine for the rest of his life. Kids telling their parents, I'm not yours, I belong to Hitler. That's all conditioning. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So they were talking about this individual's father. He's a police officer for 20-some years. His mom is a therapist, and good family, raised right, and then he went to college.
Well,
what
but
happened?
He quit. He went for a year and quit.
Right. But what is being taught to these children other than the ABCs, math, science, English, all that other stuff? People's opinions, teachers' opinions, need to be really left out of it.
But again, there was an interview that I saw. It was his grandma. Her name was Debbie Robinson, and she said she said that she talked to her family every day, and was not aware that her 22-year-old grandson, who she described as squeaky clean, had attended the event at Utah Valley where Kirk was killed. He was an electrical apprentice. He was an electrician. He was working in, he was a skilled laborer. And
well, you have a grandson, right?
Oh, of course.
Do you pay attention to what he's learning, what he's watching?
Yeah, he's getting.
Everybody does.
Well, not every day, because he doesn't live with me, but we talk. He's got a thing for history now, and so no, he's a.
But you can kind of get a handle on where his head's at by what he says to you.
Sure, but he's still a little guy. I mean, he's still I don't want to say, but he's not in that age where your horns grow in and and all of this begins. But if you look at both of these, they're geeks. I mean, I was a geek.
They're geeks, yeah.
Yeah, I was a geek. They're geeks. But the guy that's up in Evergreen, they talked about him reloading pistols again and again and again, and shooting at little kids. What the? I mean.
Yeah, that's insane. It's just so crazy.
But is
I want to make.
Is it crazy?
Make a couple more points before I get off. This death penalty, if it does go through, and as cruel as this sounds, I think that it would be beneficial to the entire young population and the country for that to be televised, that this guy would die in front of the. So if you think you're going to go do something, and you're living in a video game world, you see that as reality.
Well, I covered an execution. I didn't see it, but Carol McKinley from Fox News, when it was the execution of Gary Davis, the last man executed in Colorado, and I listened to Bill and Jeff yesterday when they were talking about that, and it isn't what you think. I mean, it's the way that was told to me, and I talked to 3 people who witnessed it. He was on a striker frame. And they pull the curtain back, and he's already about half gonked out on Valium. Then they hit him with the juice, and so unless you want to start hanging people.
Well, Utah is a firing squad.
Well, it is a choice.
We're not going to give him a choice. There's no choice for him.
What's the feds? All right, thank you.
All
right, we go to Aaron. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, good morning. Thank you. It's good to have you.
Hey, morning, Peter Boyles. Always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Thank you, sir.
You know, and of course, you know, hindsight is 20/20. I'm sure Charlie Kirk was dealing with death threats, and he was getting all kind of death threats, and you know, and the thing is though, and the thing is when Charlie was doing this thing and engaging these students on these college campuses of so-called higher learning, and when you go to school, you're there to get education, but when you leave school, hopefully you can think for yourself. So, you know, so when Charlie Kirk was engaging these students, and he would say, well, prove me wrong. And it's just a simple debate, kind of like Trump, you know, talking to Putin in Alaska. Well, I mean, diplomacy is just talking to each other. And that's all President Trump was doing with Putin. Whether Trump liked Putin, don't like Putin, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got to talk. And that's what Trump was doing with Putin in Alaska, just talking. That's what Charlie Kirk was doing on these campuses in all 50 states where he went. He was just talking, having conversation. He was coming from a biblical, Christian, religious point of view. Nothing wrong with that. You can agree with it. I'm like you, Peter. I'm not that. I'm not that very religious. I'm like you. I'm just not that religious.
Well, the point of all of this is, and I go back and I started getting calls on the murder of Alan Berg, another radio guy. He was killed away from, you know, the microphone as well. Although Charlie was on the mic, he was on what we call a remote, and he was, and you know, the guy asked him about mass shooting, and but when Berg was killed, and I know too much about it, but only because I really needed to know what they had done to my friend. But there were 4 guys in a car, and the guy that murdered Alan, I don't think he was 11 or 12 feet away behind a tree when Berg pulled in, a guy named Bruce Carroll Pierce, and he pulled the trigger on the MAC-10, and he killed him, instantly killed him, for what he was saying.
Yes.
And when I said at first, like Harper Lee, to kill a mockingbird, they killed the mockingbird. Alan Berg he had about as much politics as go out the window. You know, he played for ratings. And he only was a Colorado guy, a Denver guy. And Charlie Kirk was up and coming. He was going to be the next Limbaugh and beyond.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, I
mean, the potential was there. I think he would have ran for president 20 years from now.
Somebody said that as well.
Yeah, I think he would have ran for president 20 years from now. He would have been, 51 years old.
Yeah.
But I think he would have been a great candidate for the highest office in this country.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. The potential was there.
Remember, Ronald Reagan was a radio guy.
There you go.
I mean, he truly was. He was a recreator on Who in Des Moines. But you know, you never know where guys are coming from. Donald Trump comes out of business. Like him or not, he held no prior office.
Never.
And
this is it.
Yeah. So, but this is the JFK for these young people.
Oh yeah, no question. You know, and I mean when Charlie Kirk was on air here in Denver, Colorado at 10 in the morning, sometime I would listen to him, and you know he'll give it, and sometime I didn't. You know, some things he said I would agree with, some things I didn't agree with. But I'm not gonna. But never thought about killing him. And you thought about, you know, when I was going to school, you know, as a snot-nosed, runny-nosed kid. You know, I mean, going to school, kindergarten, high school, middle school, all every level of school. Never had any school shootings. None of. I mean, we had our fights.
True.
But but nobody was thinking about, man, I got to go take a gun to school and and kill my classmates. Or I mean, we had our weirdos and and people dressing up black and all kind of crazy stuff going on when I was. But nobody was trying to kill anybody.
But that's
going to school.
That's there's an echo in this. The advance comes, things, and oftentimes there's a term called the quickening.
Mm-hmm.
The things come quicker and quicker and quicker. And fear is the country lives in fear. I don't think you can drive by that. And I go back now to the broken record. How many different elected officials and media and talk show all said, there's no place for this in our country. We're not, they do. Yes, there is. We are that. Do you agree? Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it's always it's been there. I mean, Martin Luther King, he died because he was preaching and telling the truth to the KKK.
But the guy, remember, the guy that killed him did it for. There was a price on his head. There was a price on Dr. King's head.
Yep.
And James Earl Ray, I don't know. That's such a confusing story. There's a great book called Hellhound on His Tail, which is a lift from Robert Johnson, but it's about those final months of Dr. King's life. And when James Earl Ray, gets the gun, gets right, and shoots him and kills him. And how the hell he got to Europe in a Mustang and everything? This guy he was just a thief. I actually talked to him once. You could talk to him if you wanted to pay the line fees. And I went, you kidding me? And I had him on the show. He denied everything. And this guy named this other guy. And his brother said, look, my brother was just a thief. He said he wasn't any killer. And they found him in a Spanish house of prostitution.
Okay.
For a guy that was just out of jail, he got a long way he got a long way on nothing. So he's an enigma. I mean.
In Sirhan, well, you thought about that? Did he? I mean, they let him go.
Well, Sirhan, is doing the rest of his life, but yeah, I mean,
For what happened with Robert Kennedy?
Lee Harvey Oswald. There's the one and only.
Yep.
So.
And then also I'm thinking about when Charlie Kirk was out there, it's too bad there was no camera drones out there to see if there was any kind of snipers.
Well, they got him coming off the back and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, when his dad and mom,
it's sad.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
It's so tragic.
Well, I really thought when it first happened, in 200 yards, and they didn't get the guy, I thought it was like Carlos the Jackal, that they had hired somebody to do the job. But now they're saying, well, he lived with this transgendered partner. I don't know. I don't know.
That still doesn't justify murdering somebody who's out there. I mean, and Charlie Kirk, reminds me of Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King was nonviolent. He preached nonviolent. Yeah. Charlie Kirk, was nonviolent. He just wanted to talk to you. I mean, and Martin Luther King, he was nonviolent. But to die, here's someone who's nonviolent, and you die at the hands of violence. It's unbelievable, Pete. Unbelievable.
Take care. Back on the other side. Stay here. 710 KNUS on a Saturday morning. It's 11:23. Picking up the pace. 710 KNUS Weather Center weather. Got some rain coming in both afternoons, but I got my motorcycle outside and we'll take a run on it. And again, for all you cyclists, as they used to say, for the survivors, the 12th annual MC1 Honor Run is Sunday, September the 28th, and its registration is for fallen first responders or injured first responders. It's the 12th year we've done it, and we had Mark Miller on with us this morning. But it starts at Columbine High School and open the gates at 8. We'll be out of there and go for a ride, and it's good stuff. It's good for you to do it. So that's that. My friend Danny Caplish, you've heard me talk about Danny. Danny's got much coming up on the show as well. You know, it's funny when you get jammed up and you need an attorney, you don't know. You should have him. I heard Jeffy say, put him in your cell phone. He's a good man, and I suggest you choose a lawyer who shares your values. Dan says that, and because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says so much about you to everybody involved. They go, oh, this guy's got capless. His dad was a cop. We've talked about him growing up. His mom dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. And Dan's believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. And Danny's also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. And the Caplice Law Firm, now the official law firm, partners of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avs, and Caplice Law, a serious firm for serious cases. He is my friend. He helped my family, accepts righteous injury cases on percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard and ability to pay. So if you need his help, it's really just a phone call. Start with 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551. You got a question, they got an answer. Dan Caplice Law. Danny's last name is Caplis law.com. All right. Where do we begin? Jim in Littleton. Lines are jammed. Jim in Littleton, you're on the radio show. Good morning and thank you.
Good morning, Peter. Great show like normal.
You're kind.
I'm just going to say, for those that like listening to you in the morning, without the First Amendment, this show would not exist.
I agree.
I've been to other parts of the world, many parts. This show would not exist there. So this is the benefits of that First Amendment.
Agreed. I mean,
I just get tired of people saying, we need to tamper it down. It's, that's an individual decision. But as a society, we have to allow that because by allowing that, we allow the freedom of expression, which allows you to flourish.
Jefferson is pretty clear. Jefferson says the First Amendment, and I'm paraphrasing Jefferson. Good, Peter. The First Amendment is not about what you like. It's about what you don't like. Mm-hmm. In other words, it protects what you don't like. It's sometimes for certain people, it's hard to get their arms around that. But you remember when they had a thing called the Piss Christ, and
I know, I remember that.
I remember they had the American flag in the toilet, and you could urinate on Jesus and all that kind of stuff. And as twisted as I think that is, and I wouldn't go near it. Later we found out that it was done as art with government money, which really fired everybody up. But that idea of having that, or burning the American flag, is a First Amendment right. I don't know what I'd do if somebody did that in front of me, but I think I've just heard certain states like Texas, you can burn the American flag, but if you burn the Israeli flag, you can go to jail. Or if you burn the gay rights flag.
Well, really? This is insane.
There's places that if you burn that flag.
I'll just say I've been to countries where when you go into them, you know what they do the first thing? They take your cell phone. They look at your cell phone.
Oh, yeah, sure.
In these countries, are you prepared? Are you prepared to let give up? When you give up a right,
No.
be prepared for the government to do what it wants to do to see what you think.
And by the way, as Jefferson and other great thinkers said, the First Amendment remains because of the Second. So it's so easy now to work on the Second Amendment. I mean, Polis and company did a hell of a job on the Second Amendment. Wait until 26. It really kicks in. So, Jefferson's clear about, your right to a firearm. It's not about shooting turkeys and squirrels or white-tailed deer, although, that's a sidebar. But that's not what your right to a weapon was. It was for to defend yourself, particularly against the government. Jefferson's clear about that. So
well, I mean, we all agree. I mean, right now in our state, under the Biden administration, they were clearly fearful of anyone that stood up for themselves. And as you've seen, this is how extreme our government can go. It can sick the FBI into the Catholic Church. That's how bad we got.
Yeah. I mean, look.
I mean, is that not insane? If you would have said that to me 5 years ago, I'm like, no, that can't happen. But that's where we were at.
Sure.
That's where we were at in this country.
There's a book called Legacy of Ashes, and it's got to be 600 pages, and I'm on my second read of it, and it's the history of the CIA, and it's almost impossible to find a moment where they do something worthwhile, and most of the time it's detrimental. Most of the time, like we just went by the anniversary of 9/11. They would say, why didn't you see that? They had no. Go ahead.
I'll just say, Peter, that our government is deeper. It is deeper and more extreme than we know. And
I agree.
I still do not know what's this Thomas Crook that tried to assassinate, Trump. We know nothing about it, and it is being buried under the gentleman that's running our government.
And there were 2 attempts on Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk. But again, I'm trying to put so many things together at once, and it's, I despise George W. Bush.
I totally agree with you, man.
And
he's
so,
a war criminal.
Oh, absolutely, should be tried. But
him and Cheney
both.
There's a special place in hell for those 2 people. There's a special place in hell for those 2 people.
The 17-year war in Afghanistan, and the sin that Afghanistan perpetrated is it harbored Osama bin Laden. But how many people knew bin Laden was there? 25, 30? Yeah. So Pakistan paid no price whatsoever for doing the same thing. Now, wait a minute.
What about Saudi Arabia?
Well, the Sauds are the 9/11 perps. But, every once in a while George Bush appears on TV, and I think to myself, 9/11 taught America that even having the world's largest military by far could not keep us safe.
Right.
And so it's tempting for everybody to blame everything on Donald Trump. But
I agree with you on this. I'll tell this to your credit, Peter. You were the only one in Colorado that was going on saying Bush, talking about that. You were the only one doing that. And at one time, I was like, "He's full of crap." And then slowly, we started to learn more. And then everything you had said way before everybody else was true. I have so much respect for you because you've gone against the tide on so many things.
Well,
and this is, thank God for this radio station because we would be lost, so many people, without hearing the truth about so many things.
There's massive economic implications, and I think we've lost the American dream, and it was the American and all along. And so I've been harboring, I think it's Trevor Roper's Fascism Sweet Song, and Trevor Roper's brilliant, and he said, you hear the song, and the song goes like this: well, I'll take care of you. And you hear that song and it sounds appealing. You'll take care of me? Yes. And then you ask, what do you want for that? And the voice says, I'll let you know. And
required reading should be Animal Farm for everyone.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Animal Farm should be required reading and then actually understand what he was talking about.
Remember who Orwell was, and what he was and everything. You were a very fine call. I thank you so much for calling. Be safe.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. All right, next we go to Francis in Golden. Hey, Francis, you're on the radio show. Good morning.
Hey, Peter. Hey, one thing that I don't think anybody's mentioned yet, but I would like to know, and I think it plays a component in this, is I think that we are all suffering from too much disinformation available through screens too fast. And I think that it affects young men worse than anybody else. I think their brains are still developing at such a rate that when they have this exposure over time, it can turn these people into to do things that no human being would do, that common sense would say you can't do. And I just think there's got to be some component of this that can be directed at that.
Let's take Desmond Hawley, the Evergreen Shooter. And online, apparently, people that have gotten in and looked, he had developed a deep fascination with mass shooters. He expressed neo-Nazi views. He would look at what's called gore sites. Offline, he started to amass tactical gear. He's 16, and I mean, and then he had a revolver.
The thing is, the unit crackpot can start some sort of an online platform and spew a bunch of nonsense.
But
if it's nonsense that seems to explain something to a young man, you've got the problem. Now you have the problem. At that point, the seed has been planted.
But
and it's
the morning of the shooting, he posted a picture of his revolver with a box of ammunition. And now, apparently, this is great work by Adam, they have these comments that Hawley is engaged in comments in a manner suggesting that he was close to committing his attack, and he has people that he's trading messaging with on the internet. You got to read this. He said, I just need a GoPro. It would be cool to have a probe. And somebody responds to him, a GoPro, battery, ear protection, maybe a patch. And there's another commentator said, I'm planning on getting a camera instead. But this guy said, you got to get night vision. I mean, and then somebody,
right?
Yeah, they know what he's doing. Goes, is bro going to become a hero? Meaning, yeah, got to get some sodden rad patch like a Benton on a Peyton. I have some I made but the Velcro fell off. He's talking about building his little suit.
So he can record his whole deed.
Exactly.
And Peter, I ask myself this: either of these two killers, do I think that they were born broken? Are these defective widgets that came off the line, or did they become defective over time and through exposure to things that 100 years ago people weren't exposed to? Because I do think some people are just broken widgets, but I don't think these two were.
Or no, the one kid lives in Evergreen, so that's not on the cheap, and the other kid lived in this, and it's a $600,000 home in Utah, which is probably $2 million here. But when you go back to the shooter, the Evergreen shooter, he's wearing a black T-shirt with "Wrath" written across the chest in red paint, and he's got things written on his face, like it says TJD, shorthand for Total Jew Death. The 14 words, which I've heard too many times when you read the Berg stuff. But he, I don't know what to tell you. Why? And he shot kids, and he was reloading his pistol, his revolver, and he would reload it. He wasn't changing mags. He was reloading it. And he had a skull mask, a ballistic vest, a gas mask, and a knife with a Nordic rune.
You know what I think, as well as I think that, you know, smartphones, the internet access, and everything else, is it's expanded everybody's group, everybody's thing. And, you know, 100 years ago, if you basically lived and died within about 100 miles of where you were born, if things weren't going right for you in some facet of your life, it was much more difficult to try to assign blame to some third party or some group. Whereas now, that's the only thing, that's all that people do. That's literally all people do now. They find a reason through crackpots through the internet.
I got to pull the pin. Thanks, Francis. We have a line open. This is 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast will have some fair skies to start our Saturday, and then our last trough will lift northward, give us showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and tonight. Brief heavier showers at times with highs middle and upper 70s, lows tonight low 50s. Leftover shower over the metro Sunday morning, then sunshine upper 70s with lows near 50, sunshine low 80s on Monday. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call 720-851-1691 or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Morning again, everyone. 710 KNUS lines are jammed. 78 on a Saturday, 55 tonight, 75 on Sunday, and 20 degrees. It'll drop that. No, it will not. It can't. 52. That's better. 84 on Sunday, 54 coming back. Lines are jammed. Like so many people, this has just been a horrible week, and I had an opportunity to stack the show together. We had a show planned, and then we had to cancel it. We'll have part of it next week. But I think everyone knows of the shootings, Charlie Kirk, and then Desmond Hawley opened fire at a Colorado high school in Evergreen. He had developed a deep fascination with mass shooters and online. He expressed these neo-Nazi views and was active on all these sites, and he apparently was TikToking with people. The other one is, it's just incredibly sad. So the question I'm asking this morning is there something wrong with the country? And if so, what is it? And on the other hand, how did we get here? So we will start, I think, up here. Don in Colorado Springs, you're up. Good morning. I still say good morning. Welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, Peter. And I know for you it's a double whammy for you being at KNUS, Salem being the parent company, and that was the company that Charlie worked for on the radio side, and as well as the loss of Alan Berg, who you were close to. So, I mean, it's a double whammy for you.
Yeah, it's been a week, but go ahead if you would.
Well, I was going to say, too, that, when I heard about Charlie Kirk being shot, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, the guy had potential, and I thought Salem would have a pretty good guy in their prime slot with Prager, kind of out of commission and all that. And now suddenly they have to look for another talker in their slot and all that. And and you had a strong conservative voice that connected with college students and challenged the academia, and this march through the institutions as Antonio G. was advocating for, and done by the likes of the Frankfurt School, as you mentioned earlier.
The long string of events that leads, I'm this huge believer in history has a locomotive, and something pulls us into tomorrow. And actually, it's Karl Marx's theory. He takes from Hegel and develops this idea that history, and I agree with Karl Marx, history does have a locomotive, and something pulls us into tomorrow. Having set that standard, at least I said it for myself, what have we lost sight of? Because we've passed all of this up. Where does a 16-year-old kid decide to take a revolver and start and actually, according to what I'm reading, is that he loaded and unloaded and loaded again the revolver. I don't know if it's a 6-shot revolver or what it is, but
how did he get the gun?
Well, that'll be, you'll know that by Monday. But
the thing of it is, it's you talk about history repeating and rhyming. We may have in the days of slavery, you may have not had internet and all that, but you still had people physically hitting each other over the issue of slavery issue. I think there may have been some worse fights in the Congress back then, and it got
down
and dirty.
Calhoun caned the man. Yeah. And on the floor of the House. And, and remember, they have to sneak Lincoln in to be sworn in because they're afraid that someone will shoot him and kill him. And, of course,
it eventually happened at the theater.
Yes. Ford's Theater.
You were talking about the media and Walter Cronkite and all that. Well, I will say this. I think Murrow and Cronkite were more discreet in their bias and their spin than their successors will be. Cronkite had the talent of using his body language and choosing the stories that he wanted to cover or not. And he wanted to cover Watergate really badly, and I'm not a Nixon fan, but still, he wanted Nixon out. He wanted the Vietnam War, and his producers as well to end.
Right.
It's just a successor. Dan Rather was a little more blunt in his bias, and people would rather watch Peter Jennings or Tom Brokaw instead. Back in the day,
when Rather got the, as they say, the chair, and there's so many good books to read about it.
Yeah.
There were affiliates that were going to yank the network. We're not going to go with CBS because it was Rather, and they had gone. Remember Cronkite and Murrow and Severide and all of those guys. They were World War II guys. They were World War II media guys. Severide jumped into Burma. I think Cronkite went ashore at Normandy on D+1.
And Rather Vietnam.
Well, Rather went, but there were better guys like David Halberstam and Neil Sheehan.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that they realized what a liar Lyndon Johnson was. And then comes Nixon, and Nixon's plan, and obviously we know now he doesn't have a plan, and he starts cutting people's throats, and they send Madam, Claire Chennault's widow to deal with. I mean, it was just, and people were on to Nixon, and Nixon fought them all the way to the end. And had he, and this isn't why we're doing the show today,
I understand,
but had he gone out into the Rose Garden the morning after the break-in and said, hey, and he didn't know they were going to do it. He knew that next morning, and he started to cover up that morning.
Well, all I'm saying is that I think the media had an agenda of its own, and I mean, not to get too off track. I mean, apparently the Viet Cong was saying, even in the documentary Vietnam, a television history, that the tide turned in their favor when Cronkite said it was not winnable.
When Cronkite stood up. Yeah. Cronkite never stood up behind his desk.
Yeah, but he still gave his opinion. Which is fine.
But he knew. I mean, and matter of fact, if you read the Pentagon Papers, they knew. There's no question that they knew. Lyndon Johnson, I don't know if Johnson read the papers or not, but Nixon had, taken the papers, had nothing to do with Nixon, but they told the truth, and that's what Nixon didn't want out. They wanted to tell those, as Neil Sheehan said, it wasn't just a lie. It was a bright, shining lie.
Still, it's still the point of it is it's still, the media, they're good at storytelling, and it's all shaped based on our worldview, and that includes, that worldview shaped this kid, and unfortunately, Charlie Kirk paid the price for it, and but I'll give Kirk credit for pushing back against the march of into the institutions.
We'll talk. I always love your calls. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. This is William. William, you're on the radio show. Good morning, 710 KNUS.
Peter, in my readings, I came across quotes by two of the founding fathers, one by Sam Adams and one by James Madison. They're very similar, and I'll kind of summarize them since I'm in my car. But Sam Adams said that the Constitution was made for a moral and religious people, and that it was completely inadequate to deal with anything else. And Madison went on a little bit farther and said you would need an autocratic government to control those people who essentially couldn't control themselves. And it strikes me that that's right at the heart of the problems with the Second Amendment is that I'm a gun owner. The chances that I'm going to do something stupid with it is close to zero, you know what I mean? But there are other people in that same situation who don't have those same attributes. And it happens on the left and the right and for all sorts of different reasons. But I wonder if the founding fathers were creating the Constitution today, I wonder what Second Amendment they would write.
I would think it would remain the same, the purpose. And they were purposeful men. They weren't making stuff up to be politically correct or anything like that. They were saying, here's the rules, here's the laws. And of course, the Constitution's also written to be amended. So other things happen. Civil rights, the Volstead Act, all kinds of good and bad. So I'm not sure, and again, I don't have any answers for my own questions, so anything that anybody says, I'm on board, but there's something going on. There's really something going on. William,
go ahead.
let me do that. I can bring you out of the box at 12. I got the break. You want to stay?
Not a problem. That's not going to work for me. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bubba. All right, folks on the phone, stay there. One line is open. Good morning again, everyone. Now it's good afternoon, 710 KNUS, just jumping over to 12 o'clock. I'm Peter Boyles. Phone number is 303-696-1971. Our lines are jammed. It's been open lines all morning. We had a show set, and when the insanity of this week begins, everything gets canceled and we go to open lines. It's a caller show. And I've been working on this as an idea to bring on, especially in the wake of this. Is there something wrong now with America? What is, or if in fact, what is wrong? And how did we get here? Because, nothing arrives in and of itself. As I said, I'm a believer in a theory that history has a locomotive. Something pulls it into tomorrow. There's all kinds of different theories. There's the great man. Carlyle was an early historian who believed in something called the great man theory. Adolf Hitler believed that theory of the great man theory. There's technology theories. There's all these different theories of history, and the one that I adhere to and is the locomotive. Something has a locomotive that pulls us into tomorrow. And just in my lifetime, what has history pulled us into, and why? And a couple of quick things have happened, and this has been a release that Charlie. This comes from Brooke Sigmund, who is she's the online coordinator apparently for Fox News. Exclusive: Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson lived with his transgendered partner, sources tell me. The individual, who is a male learn to say that, you know what I mean. And I've been on for 6 hours. Caldera didn't make the show. To a female fully cooperating with the FBI, sources tell me the FBI had text and other communications between Robinson and the individual that helped FBI authorities solidify that Robinson was indeed the shooter. The Desmond Hawley, the shooter in Evergreen, again, now there's a lot of reading that we can do, had developed a deep fascination with mass shooters online, and you can read some of this online stuff where he's being encouraged. He expresses neo-Nazi views. He was active on these violent gore sites. He opened fire in Evergreen High School the morning of the shooting. He posted a photo of a revolver and a box of ammunition. He shot 2 kids. He shot himself, but it goes on. He had emptied the revolver apparently 3 times and continued to load. He had an account with the Gore forum, Watch People Die. And he spent substantial amounts of time online on these spaces that feature extreme ideologies, violent content, ultimately adopting the extremist view himself. He had an account on a Gore forum, Gore, called Watch People Die, where he had commented on posts about shooting at Parkland, Buffalo. Remember the Quebec City Mosque? And of course, he was fascinated by Klebold and Harris. We can go to the phones. 303-696-1971. Mark and Aurora, you waited the longest. Good afternoon, and thanks for calling the show.
How you doing, Pete?
Really, it's really a weary week. I mean, it's a great sadness. It is a great sadness.
You know what's weird too, Pete? You're a music fan, and I think we've spoken about Supertramp before, but Rick Davies passed away.
Rick Davies passed. I saw that as well. Yes.
And wow, that was my favorite band of all time. I mean, not even close second. They were just the most musical, and they also were a band that actually wrote about mental illness. Believe it or not, a lot of their songs, Rudy, Asylum, a lot of their songs that maybe people didn't understand. It was actually a band that I actually listened to the words of, I guess is what I'm saying.
Rick Davies was not really well known. I mean, I know the name and I know the band.
No, I know.
But
yeah,
no, I saw that.
It was him and Hogston. Hogston and him wrote every single song, and what actually broke up the band for 40 years was they were just jealous of each other. Yeah. But anyway, that's just for, that was really weird. And then like a day and a half later, boom, there's assassination. And I will say that we are living in a more wicked time. I could go into, I think I told you a couple calls ago that I spent 20 years with offender, so I could give you stories to tell you why. But there's just a breakdown in what is actually right and wrong, Pete. I hate to say it. It's really that simple.
Where did it begin?
Well, I think it partially began in the 60s when there was we created a rift between men and women and what our cultures were and what they said they were and everything that went with that. And, you just broke down all the norms of the society. I mean, the Chinese have always looked at the family as the police of the culture. And when my best friend passed away a couple of years ago, Mike Spivey, when he used to talk about how when Lyndon Johnson paid women more money for the man to leave the home.
Oh,
his dad
absolutely.
Left.
No.
His dad left.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Pete, that was hard to live with. No. And he lived in the worst neighborhood in Houston. So, I mean, people think that there's no consequences to these, trying to tell people we live in a world that's not right or wrong. We do live in a world that's right or wrong. Unfortunately, people like this guy that perpetrated this crime, and again, it could be transgender, who knows, but clearly he was against what Charlie believed. In other words, I don't know that he hated Charlie as much as he hated the fact that Charlie was successful at what he believed, and I think that's what he tried to stop. It's tragic.
I've been asked, I don't know how many times this week, about the murder of radio talk show host Alan Berg vis-a-vis what's happened to Charlie Kirk, and in many ways they're incredibly similar, and in many ways they're different. But
that a group that was that wicked, evil, the guy that killed one of my best friends, two grandkids, Oklahoma City bombing, Timothy McVeigh, Nickel, wicked, evil people, Pete.
But here's the again, when I hear words like that, you got to believe that Timothy, this is why I said we have allowed I believe to mean the same thing as it's a fact. And Timothy McVeigh believed he was doing the right thing. Now whether, and I say that about, the German Waffen SS, the death's head, they go into Ukraine and go into Poland and they begin to systematically murder people. They weren't doing that because they thought it was wrong. They were doing that because they thought it was right. And that's why.
Well, you were asking about the Second Amendment, and I think the reason that my answer to your question about the Founding Fathers, if I was interviewing them today, is they would say, we want to be, because they clearly did, if you read everything they said. Sure. They wanted a reprise against the government, and that's why they always tried to limit the scope of the government and size of it, because they wanted a reprise if the government lost its way. That's in the Declaration of Independence. And yet they would say that it's for the real government, the people, that may have to go against the people that occupy the offices that think they're the real government. That's how I would put
indeed. And remember what they were. They believed that voters had to be property-owning white men. And there was times that they excluded Jews, they excluded Roman Catholics, but the concepts are right. But
they are, and they remedy, as a guy pointed out to me a long time ago, the very thing that they abused, that perverted it, is exactly what was used to correct it.
Yeah.
And to me, brave people, and I know there's a lot of people have a lot of things to say, good or bad, about Martin Luther King. My comment solely about him is he died for what he believed.
Yeah,
there's not a handful of people that'll die. I guess the guy that just passed away did.
Dr. King, I mentioned a book called Hellhound on His Tail. It was more about James Earl Ray. But, I mean, King, like all of us, had feet of clay. He did what he did, and that's they want the King papers released. I've seen more and more people say all the evidence about Dr. King's life, and J. Edgar Hoover was wiretapping his bed springs. I mean, and
he was the prime mover, Pete. You can't in terms of it changing, because you and I was born in '58, so we saw it. I saw it in the South where people had to eat in the back of a restaurant.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's like my kids never grew up in that world.
I wrote.
So they don't know.
I wrote a column I used to fight. I wasn't any good, but we went to Fort Myer Gymnasium on my grandson's forehead. We went to Fort Myer as a team to fight, and this was 1964. And we went to a diner, and I
remember this story you said.
If you looked out the windows of the diner, it's where the Suribachi Monument is, where the Marines are putting the flag up on Suribachi.
Yep.
The best fighter on our team, he was actually taught me, his name was Joe Pennywell. Penny was the best, I mean, simply the best. And we went into the restaurant. I can remember the table and who was sitting there with Hal Wrigley and Harry Smith, and we're sitting there, and I'm nervous as hell because I'm going to fight actually that afternoon. And they came over, and I didn't understand what was going on. I was working in the mill. I was working in the mill. I was 18 years old, and the audacity that they didn't want to serve Penny. And this was a guy I revered, I looked up to. You know, he trained me three nights a week, and and they shut him down. And
you always say about tell me who your enemies are. Just look who his enemies were. So I mean,
that guy, and he went on to win the division. You know, he drove past it, which I thought was amazing. We're walking out, and our heavyweight tried to knock the cash register off the glass, and the cooks came out, and that kind of thing. And I don't know. I mean, that was America as I'm a young man. I mean, I saw it. And
right, and that's why when I worked with kids, Pete, I would always tell them, don't tell me what you can't do in this country now. I'll tell you what you couldn't do in 1963. But you can do anything now in this culture, okay? People, that people get into school with grants. People, you can go learn a trade right now. You can learn how to be a plumber.
You boys sure, one of the great lines in any Stooges movie is someone says, "Are you boys sure you're plumbers? Are you boys sure?" Remember that? And they always went, certainly.
I love you. I'll tell you one last funny story Pete, about Three Stooges. And they were the ones also, they come in, they say, "Gentlemen," they say, "Somebody come in?" Somebody come in the room.
Yeah.
But I come home one night, it's like 10:30 at night. I got two young daughters. I go up the stairs to go down to the hall to my bedroom. I see the TV's on because they have a light over the transom. And I'm thinking, what are my kids doing up at 10:30 at night? I go in there, they're watching my VHS reel of the Stooges.
Sure.
I said, go back.
I still watch them.
Your mom.
If they're on now, I watch them.
Oh yeah, why wouldn't you?
And my brother and I still do the lines, like what was Niagara Falls? Remember that?
Oh, Niagara Falls. My wife had never seen that routine. I showed it to her.
He said, Leanne Wheeler's here. Did you ever see Niagara Falls as a bit? He goes, Niagara Falls. And then the one guy says, slowly I turned. He got it. He's got it. Inch by inch.
It's a heel turn.
Step by step, but it's Niagara Falls. And my brother and I can still do the routine. We can.
Well, they also had the one about golf where the guy said, I shot an eagle. I shot a birdie. And they asked Curly, what'd you shoot? He goes, I shot 7, but they wouldn't give me the money.
I know.
You take care, Pete.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Thank you.
All right. Mike in Longmont, you're on the radio show. Try and follow that one, right? Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, Peter. I'm in Longmont. I'm actually from Golden, but the sad state of events here this week reminded me of Ecclesiastes, where there's a verse that says, "A threefold cord is not easily broken." And looking back in terms of what brought us to this point, how did we get here today? I think there's 3 things that come to my mind that, contribute to this at least. 3 strands that have kind of ended up in the cord we have today, and that is, I'm older than even the last caller, but I remember when, first of all, the education system was starting to trend the way it's gone over the decades, and with John Dewey and with Madeline Murray O'Hare, getting prayer out of the school, which we never used to think anything about,
But remember, prayer goes in the Cold War. It's the Knights of Columbus, and they they petitioned Eisenhower's president. And I remember going home one year and coming back, and the Pledge of Allegiance was under God. Prior to that, it wasn't there, and it was the height of McCarthyism. There was and again, as we speak now, I believe there's a lot of fear in this country, and there was a tremendous amount of fear in the country, and they put but one nation under God did not appear until I'm guessing 54, 53, 54, maybe maybe later.
But being that as it may, there's no question about this downward spiral in our education system, and then also, with abortion here, our children have been taught that they're, you can snuff a life, which we won't really call a life, but yet, that plays into society here. We've cheapened life, I guess, is what I'm saying here, and generations that come, they see that, they watch that, and then you mix that in with where we are today with the internet and with these kids playing video games. This is almost like a narcotic with every young child. They want to be on their electronics. They want to be in their.
It's interesting. I've heard people say things like, "Life is cheap in the Middle East," or "Life is cheap in Asia." And it's not. Life is very expensive. It's death.
Correct.
It's death that's cheap. And I've listened. So many different things I've listened to that I know just simply aren't true. But so, is it reversible?
Well, fortunately, I think that what Charlie Kirk was about, ironically, is what the answer is to this country, because he was very bold in his stance of being a Christian believer. He was influencing.
He was different than the evangelical ministers that I've watched. And many of them have turned out to be cads, as you know.
Right. But Charlie, you couldn't argue that Charlie wasn't. He was a sincere example of what a Christian believer should really be.
What I'm saying is, he wasn't flying in the airplanes and wearing the expensive suits and and telling people that if they didn't send him money, the hurricane was going to hit America. That kind of stuff. And that's,
but nevertheless, that doesn't stop the foundation of what the Word of God is about from being true, regardless of how much abuse there's been. And Charlie had a good handle on that. I heard Riley Gaines addressing this same thing the other night, and she said the same thing that Charlie would say. Unfortunately, that's beginning to happen as young people are starting to turn back. Bible sales are up. Young people are starting to ascribe to what Charlie was talking about, to have a good society, have a good marriage, a good relationship, and hopefully that's the hope that we come to get us back on track. And so that's my comment.
Indeed.
But thanks for taking my call.
Thank you very much, Mike. All right, everybody, we need to turn 710 KNUS, special guest in studio. I work with her on a television show with Brother Jeff. Leanne Wheeler's here. We'll get her on the air for her thoughts. 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS Denver forecast this Saturday, increasing clouds with a 50% chance for afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms, highs near 80 degrees. Showers tonight with low temperatures in the lower 50s. Sunday, mostly sunny with a 20% chance for afternoon showers, highs in the mid-70s. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Afternoon, everyone. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station. I'm Peter Boyles. Open lines been going on 6 a.m. They've been packed. People feel the sense to talk to this. And what is wrong? Is there something wrong with our country? And how did we get here? My friend David Ellis, you've heard me telling you about taking valuables to David. I did so earlier in the week for a fortune in cash. Secure an appraisal from David for all the valuables that you have tucked away in your home. And it's still true. And let me share the other reasons to call David, just in case you don't have a Rolex watch or rare coins or a silver tea set. Go see David Ellis. He's there right now for all your most meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers, just the right item, just the right price, special people that mean the most. An antique watch, an emerald pendant, a gold necklace, a diamond ring. Trusted man, trusted jeweler, been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. Dazzling cases filled with hundreds of new and used pieces your loved one will treasure. See and visit David Ellis in Cherry Creek. See for yourself. Look for the black awnings on the corner of 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. He's there 6 days a week. Explore DavidEllisJewelry.com. Call my friend David Ellis at 303-322-8779. 303-322-8779. Tell David Peter Boyle sent you. All right, so we go to line 2. David from Divide, you're on the radio show. Good afternoon.
Hello, Peter. I got a few points here. First two are quick, and then the second links to the third, and it won't be too long. You made me think about this when you said, how did we get here? And I just think it's evolution. And look at the phone. For example, Marconi invents the phone. Then it gets in everybody's house.
Alexander Graham Bell invents the phone.
Well, some people even said Tesla helped with that too.
Fair enough. All right.
But again, we're evolving. Now we have these cell phones. It's just evolution, and people learn to accept things as we go. So then the second thing is, out of the last 10 shootings, roughly 7 to 8 have a trans link. The Nashville, Colorado Springs. You know, I thought the surgery was supposed to make you happier. And then the third point. Now, this is the thing.
Let me ask you a question. Were they transsexuals or transgendered? It's a serious question.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
you don't even know about what don't even know what the Nashville shooters thing was. They were hiding it all from us.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I'm on your side, but transgenders are just men in women's clothing. Transsexual.
Well, most of them. Well, I don't know.
I don't either.
I can't track all that, but it's got something to do with the trans movement.
Well,
and they're pushing it on our kids.
Some of them are members of Antifa. We know that.
Right.
They're not. Not all, but many are.
Well,
not only that, but ... All
right. Well, let me get to the third point here. This is the things that gets done behind our backs by, unfortunately, the Dems. House Bill 666. Now, we've all seen the omen. We know what 666 stands for. Now, that bill, if it would be passed, it's never been brought to the floor. It would have systemic racism declared a national emergency, and the health department would begin re-educating everyone. So, I mean, you know, who's that for? Who's that for?
Let me ask my expert. We do TV together, and she's in here. Leanne, you got your headsets on. Have you ever heard of that bill 666?
I've not. I'm just now going to go to the Colorado legislature.
Because she really knows what
It's a national. It was introduced by Ariana Presley. It was introduced by Ariana Presley, one of the squad, the progressives from New York. And it's probably still sitting there waiting to be, if they ever get back in power again. But see, this is the things that they do. When they have the teachers say, my grandson just got yanked out of school by my daughter because the teachers came up to him and his friends and said, you need surgery, and they couldn't opt out of the LGBTQ deal. So my daughter says, that's it. I've had enough.
Whoa, go slow here. Your grandson.
Well, I got it. Yeah, my grandson, 7 years old. My daughter pulled him out of school because of the LGBTQ. She couldn't opt him out. And a teacher came up to him and his friends and said, you need surgery. And they laughed at her, which I love. So, but this is the things. And, you know, this is the things that they want to push on us. and then they tell us we're the one. It's their rhetoric. AOC says it's the guns, and yet they're everything. You got even Schumer saying, Kavanaugh, you're going to reap the whirlwind. And then we find a guy outside Kavanaugh's home ready to shoot. I mean, how many? I could go on and on, but you have other people.
No, but again, with guns. I appreciate. Thank you very much. Let's go. Kathleen from Wheat Ridge, you're on the radio show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Great topic. Well, I'm pretty sure I know how it began. When in the early 70s, late 60s, I was reading a science fiction author by the name of Harlan Ellison, and he was kind of a social philosopher, and he called the television the glass teat. And he warned us that television was going to basically gain control of us, and wrote stories about the different ways that we would be influenced by television, and the principal one being marketing. So at the same time, I think Madison Avenue really got on its feet, and marketing became a really
but
big thing.
if they, I mean, there's something missing in what you're saying. The world gets mass marketed. These guys, I'm around them a little bit. Some of them really know what they're doing, others don't. But you're telling me what about this country?
I'm telling you that our ideas and our society and our morals are being marketed to us by the people who can afford to do it.
Who, for instance, is marketing my morals?
Let's see, not the morals. The drug companies are teaching, or have been teaching us, that almost everything can be solved with a pill or a medication. We've learned a lot of morals from the television shows.
What's immoral about offering someone health care? I mean, like if you watch the evening news, and I rarely do, but when I do, at every break, there's a patent medicine or a medicine to go talk to a doctor about. And you just don't. And I mean, these guys know what they're doing. I've often said that what is the difference between a soft drink ad and a beer ad? And the answer is nothing except the product.
Nothing.
Everybody's funny and happy and having a great time and swinging off of the ropes and dropping in the water. And you're either drinking a Mountain Dew or you're drinking not an Iron City, but you're drinking, some national brew, Budweiser. And so
exactly.
I think there's a conditioning thing there. But, I mean, by and large, they're trying to sell products. That's really what they want to do. They want to.
Well, that's true, but they know how to sell the product.
Oh, absolutely.
And part of that is they're such good psychologists.
They're great.
And they know that everybody wants to look good and have the right things.
Watch the next car ad.
Exactly.
Car ads.
Any ad.
Oh, come on, car ads when I was a kid, there was always, if it was Chevrolet, and although they could sell station wagons, but they always had a convertible ad. And standing next to the car would be a beautiful woman, and she would be in like a prom dress, I called them. Well, she is called the Promise. You buy that car, and you're going to get that girl. She's the Promise for the ad. I mean, these guys know what they're doing, but I don't see where that turns an Evergreen high school kid.
Okay, well let me get to that.
Do it quickly, please.
Okay, well, I didn't see a television until I was 5 years old. And I think that if we look at the difference between the children who have been born into television and screens and the children who have not, who had part of their childhood without a television, I think that we would see something that has gone over our heads.
Would you say that about computers?
I think it led to computers. It's a screen.
Okay.
You know, it's mesmerizing. It pulls you in. It's interesting. It's personal. It's what you want.
Why isn't radio then like that, or is radio like that?
I think radio's hooked is emotional.
Radio's what again?
Hook is emotional.
Okay. Huh.
Well, politics, the things we're talking about today, it's an emotional subject. You know, you can feel it.
Okay.
You don't have to feel really anything that you see on the screen.
Oh yeah, you do. I mean, certainly.
But you can, right?
Oh,
I shouldn't have said that.
Guy kills Charlie Kirk. He was feeling something in politics.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, personal. But yeah.
Be safe.
That's one of my takes on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You too.
All right. Where do we stand here? 5 minutes? Let me take one because I want the last section I want to spend with Leanne. Let's go. Okay. This is Bob in Lakewood. Hey, Bob, you're on the radio show. Good afternoon.
Hey, Pete, how you doing? The last time I saw you was down at Douglas County thing. I had trouble finding my phone to get a picture, and I got a great picture with you.
Cool. Thank you.
I don't know if you remember that, but we talked about my son, who is homeless, who is now about,
sure.
He's now 5 months into a clean and sober house. I'm sorry.
Good.
He's doing really good. The odds are stacked way against him, but he's trying. Having trouble getting a job because he's got to explain his work ethic for the last 5 years.
Yeah, because there's a guy at Sept that Cote. He would help write the resumes for guys who had been on the street, and the best approach was, I've been on the street, and I'm sober now, and that's what Bobby did.
And that's kind of what my son is doing. He should be an electrician, but he didn't get the documented hours. No. He's just starting from scratch, but at least he's trying. He's working hard, and I got to thinking with this subject. You know, we got a big dartboard out there, and nobody seems to hit the bullseye. We can't seem to hit the bullseye. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. I know every time I throw a dart, I hit something on that. And today I got to thinking, for me, the biggest problem are fathers and parents in this country have lost our way. Those kids have no idea what we believe and what we just have failed these kids. Failed them. Look at all the fathers that have multiple kids with multiple women. The thing up in Evergreen, you mean to tell me the 16-year-old kid was able to get on the computer and no parent, father or mother, was able to find out what they were doing?
But I don't think that's anything unique. It's what he had found.
Oh, no. Oh, I know. I'm just saying, you're trying to figure out what. That's just one of the reasons.
I spend, I'll bet 4 hours a day. What a long baller, but 3 or 4 hours a day. I don't go looking for those websites. There had to be something that I know they're there. I know there's champions for the people that took Alan's life. Yeah. There's Klebold and Harris sites. I don't want to. There's nothing about them that. But should they be taken out of there? No. I mean, this First Amendment. Everything hangs on that. And if you give it up, if you got to fight for it. If you give it up, I mean, I'm telling you, they'll take it. I got to turn around. I'm getting a high sign.
Man.
All right, I'm going to come back with Leanne. It is going to be 78 for a high. Where'd Adam go? Look, let me do this. I met this woman through Brother Jeff, and Brother Jeff does a television show, and every once in a while, like about once a month, we ready? We're going to take a break. Okay, all right. We have 2 minutes. Okay. And so we started doing television together, and she's, I think, extremely bright, and I think she should have her own radio show. And anyhow, Do we? I say good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good day. Good afternoon.
Um,
How are you? You've had a great show. Great run this morning.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed listening in.
What a topic. And so,
oh dear, yeah.
we talk a lot. We talk with Jeff when we do TV. And what are you seeing in this?
It's a lot, right?
Wow.
It's been a hell of a week.
It has been.
Yeah, I'm seeing quite a lot, and it's clear that there are different demographics in this country that viewed Charlie Kirk's work differently.
Yeah.
And it has been extraordinary.
Now I'm getting a hold on.
Okay.
Now we'll bring it back.
Standing.
Leanne Wheeler, Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS, wrapping this puppy up. Good morning, morning. Punchy. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. We are Denver's talk station. Our phone number 303-696-1971. And it's been an all open lines morning, and we haven't had an open line since I took over for Caldera this morning at was this 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock? I can't remember, but it was. This has been a long shift. We've been on the air a while, but it's been a great show and a need to be here. Leanne Wheeler's here with us, and we're waiting for something on that Bill 666 that was brought up. But anyhow, as you were saying about these murderers and what we're watching happen.
Yeah, so I think it's all occurring differently for different demographics in the country. It's been extraordinary. What for me, I completely recall the Columbine shooting. I know where I was. I was on the base. I was working for Raytheon. We were doing our work. We heard it. Like, what? This is, and it sort of had this a full-throated grief about it, and thought, how can this continue to go on? And then, of course, now I remember Sandy Hook and all the things. And so when I heard about Evergreen, which occurred on the same day,
yes,
I don't remember if it was Evergreen first and Kirk second, but it was tightly coupled in time, which was difficult. And so where I was going before the break was, I think Charlie Kirk's assassination was. It occurred for different folks differently. And I was pretty surprised, actually, by a lot of the comparisons that were being drawn. And from everyone from JFK, excuse me, to Martin Luther King, like he was this modern day. And I think it just was very interesting to be on social and see the difference, the different responses, how people were feeling about it. And so how does it occur for me? What is your question for me?
Well, I asked this of the audience and jammed the lines. What is there some, by the way, here comes your...
Oh, great.
John's
and so thanks for the caller, because this is not legislation that I'm familiar with.
And what does it say? It's a caller said, and we got a lot of bounces on that. Thank you, John. It said 666.
House Resolution 666.
What is it?
To amend the Public Health Service Act to provide for public health research and investment into understanding and eliminating structural racism and police violence. And so this date...
What year?
We're looking at 1 February. It was read in on February 1st, 2021. And I'm just getting it. So give me a second here.
And it was defeated or knocked down?
Well, it was entered. I don't know that it was brought to the floor. So that's why I'm looking. So Schoolhouse Rock, an extended Schoolhouse Rock, just because a bill is introduced
doesn't mean it makes it.
Doesn't mean it makes it.
Yeah.
And then also with regard to numbering, and this is interesting to me, that the number was 666.
Yeah, mark of the beast.
Yeah, but they are entered, as these are entered onto bill paper, they are entered sequentially. It's not to say you can't jump in with it.
Yeah.
It's like, wait until we get to that number and write that number. But these bill numbers are a sequential process.
Okay.
And so it could be where they put a stay on it and said, hey, let's make it sensational when we get to that place. But mostly this was probably incidental. And so I have to admit, I do not recall an entire conversation around this bill. You got
Here comes somebody else with more.
With some backup data.
What's this say?
So
H.R. 666 was not passed into law.
Okay.
I'm reading this.
Well,
since congressional bill numbers are recycled every 2 years.
Correct.
It's important to know which session of Congress the bill was from.
Yes.
The most recent H.R. 666 was introduced in 118, the 118th Congress, which ran 23-24 and died in committee.
This one was the 117th Congress. First session.
That's the next year too. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it just got killed.
Yeah.
So the caller said this, and I didn't know anything about it, and so
I'll read it
yeah,
once we're off air.
You really got
but
a sense
I'm
of this.
curious about it because I'm curious about it. So I don't recall having heard about this, but in 2021, I would have been working on something else.
Do you want to be a talk show host? Do you want to take a call?
Sure.
All right. We have jam lines. Hey, Barb, Leanne Wheeler's got the con. You're on a radio show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Barb. I wanted to relate an experience that I have had in my life, and this occurred in probably in the 90s, probably. And my son was in college. I had been given permission to go into silence at the Catholic Retreat Center in Sedalia. And you have to go into silence for 2 weeks. And I had a friend say, Barb, you'll never make it. You like to talk too much. But I attended a group community meeting of mothers at this retreat center. And their topic was, what have we done to tell our children what we believe? And they watch us and watch us and watch us as they are growing up, and we're doing our stuff in the community, but they don't put it together. They don't think, well, Mother believes this. So in silence
I got to tell you on time, so we're under 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Oh, well, it won't take that long, Peter. Thank you.
Okay.
So I went to my room that night. I sat for 3 hours in silence, and I wrote to my son, who was a student in the northwestern part of the country, and I told him what my goals were. I wanted him to understand what I had done working in the Denver community as a volunteer. And he got back to me and he said, Mom, the letter came. I've read it several times. It's the best letter I've ever had.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you,
So,
Barb.
but I didn't tell him. But the important thing is, don't type it on your computer.
No,
Write
handwritten.
it in your own handwriting.
That's right. And that's something
Yes.
he's kept, right? As a result?
He has.
Yes.
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 But I said to him, this is what I've learned from what I've done in the Denver community, and I've been here for over 50 years.
So, real quick, let me throw the curveball.
Yep.
What's wrong with the country, and how did we get here?
Peter, I think what's wrong is that we've lost our faith. And I've heard you many times on the radio say that you don't have a faith in God. And I applaud the man. I've listened to you all morning, in and out of where I've been running errands. But there was a man that tried to explain to you that you need a faith in Jesus Christ.
No, I don't want to argue with you, but I really don't.
Okay. I know you don't. But you're asking what's wrong with the country. And I think that's one of the major things that we are missing in our country.
If I don't have that belief, I'm what's wrong with America?
I'm not saying that. You're asking about the country. What is wrong with the country? And I said, we have lost the faith in Jesus. And I think that Charlie Kirk was absolutely right. And we've drifted all over the place because we can't get it through our heads that we don't know it all. And he does.
I don't know it all.
Well, but you, Peter, but you say all the time, I don't have a belief in God. I don't believe there is a God. And I'm saying to you, I do believe there's a God.
Okay.
And God knows more about this than I do.
One more thing as we get close. You used you used the operative word, believe.
Yeah, believe.
I mean, in fairness, you have made what's known as the epistemological leap of faith.
Well, isn't that what religion is about, Pete?
Of course it is.
Isn't it about having faith?
Yes.
You can't prove it, nor can I.
No.
But we have faith.
It's not up to me to prove it.
Nor me.
Sure it is.
But I have the
You believe
faith
it.
that he made me and he made you and he made everybody. He made your teeth in your head.
Okay.
But we have to have faith that that's where we stand.
Okay, fine. I mean, and that works for you.
Well, but I'm saying it makes me sad that I hear you saying to the public, you don't have the faith.
It's okay.
And that's not up to me to choose what you believe.
But it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. But think of all the people that you are leading in a path.
I'm not leading ma'am, I'm not leading anybody. I've not said ever one time on any radio show, and you should join me. I've never said that. On the other hand,
haven't said that.
On the other hand, I've listened to people say you should join me, and you know that's true.
And I'm not saying that.
I got to
Peter.
cut you off.
Not
I'm sorry.
telling you that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know you're not. Thanks for doing the show. We'll do it ASAP. Leanne Wheeler, I'm Peter Boyles. I'll see you.
Thank you. Thank you.